We are tonight's entertainment.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Excellent!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode of Movie Mania Podcast, where we talk from past, present, and future. I am Sherman Trey White of Podcast Media, and joining me is the man, the myth, the It's Alive! It's Alive! Trilby / Mr. TARDIS.
Brains. See, Frankenstein's monster, I should say, was kind of a zombie.
No, you can call him Frankenstein, because if he's Victor's son, then he should have his last name.
Actually, it's Frankenstein.
Oh, you know what I mean. But, like, that's what I told my teacher. I was like, I call him Frankenstein because he's Victor's kid, you know what I'm saying? People can call me White even though I'm not my dad, you know? It's that kind of thing.
That got weird quickly.
Well, it's my last name, isn't it?
Ah, okay. I thought some people just thought, no, Trey's white, totally.
Screw it. Yeah, how you doing, Trilby?
Doing good, yeah. I've actually been able to see a load of movies this week, which is very refreshing for a movie-related podcast.
Fantastic. Well, I like how we're doing this trade-off now. Like, one week it's like, oh, Trilby saw everything, and Trey's just gonna sit here going, and the second week it's like, oh, no, Trey saw everything. Trey's gonna talk for 50 minutes in a row. And then, yeah, I mean, I saw some stuff this week, but I've been out and about and busy. I nearly fell out yesterday from heat exhaustion because we were shooting some stuff for Equation, and it was way hotter than we expected, and the clouds never came out, and so it was just that South Texas heat is not forgiving. It is atrocious. It's like, you know how like when in Star Wars Luke Skywalker like goes back to his home after he realizes the Empire knows he's there, and you just see Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen. Yeah, it was like that essentially.
You were like just a bunch of charred skeletons.
Yeah, well, in an ideal world, I was a charred skeleton. I was more like a blob on the floor. I was kind of cooking slowly. The fat was simmering away. Yeah, no, but there was a point where like I had to like pull up the Rocky soundtrack so I could walk up this giant hill. I was with my girlfriend. She was helping us film, and I was like, we're like the old couple in Up.
One of you collapses and dies.
It was essentially like that. I was like, I fell over. She'd come down and give me like, don't do this again, because this means next time you're the one that dies. That's what makes that scene so brutal, doesn't it? It's that he falls first, and you're like, oh, they're helping each other, and then she falls and then doesn't make it. Like Pixar just did that to you.
It's the way he stumbles as he runs down the hill to like support her.
Yeah.
It's just like the little human animations. But it's been really warm in the UK as well, like the past couple of days. Like today it was like 26, 27 degrees, which I think translates to 80, like 80 degrees-ish.
Oh, that's cute. That's cute, Trilby.
Which is cute for Texas or anywhere in America.
It was 97 degrees, Trilby, and that wasn't the heat index, that was the temperature. 97 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, that was how many melting bodies were going down that hill. 96.
Jack and Jill didn't fall that day. They melted.
They melted. But I had a friend who was at a dog show in the local area, and there were like reports of all the dogs fainting, and it's like, no, we're not having this festival anymore.
I went to the circus once. Time goes listed below.
Have you ever seen a clown melt?
And we were waiting in line for tickets because that's what people used to do back in the day. And the reason now, if you go to the stadium that I live in, the city that I'm not going to reveal here, if you go to our stadium that we have, they now have covers all over places where the lines are. And the same thing with like the amusement parks in town, because because people fell out. One lady died of heat stroke. I was there. Yeah, I was like 8. It was really fun. It was a fun circus, and we ended up going inside, and yeah, you know, Disney on Ice and all that good stuff. But
and the ice was water, and from that day on, the circus became known as the Circus of Death.
Circus became Cirque du Soleil. I mean, essentially, they just built SeaWorld over the circus because it just got so bloody hot, you know. So.
I thought you were gonna. They used the water from the melted ice rink to make SeaWorld.
Yeah, if you really go underneath Shamu's pit, you just see a bunch of carcasses, and you're like, well, they fed the whale somehow.
Yeah,
that got dark. Oh well.
Yeah, good thing we're talking about monster movies. And grim stuff.
Yeah, we'll be talking about some monster movies and some classics that we watched. I kind of also revisited Alien. I didn't want to watch Aliens yet. I'm waiting to watch Aliens for a special occasion. Because I have a friend who hasn't seen Aliens either, so I haven't seen Aliens yet.
You're in for a fun time.
Yeah, that's what everyone tells me. So, like, the same thing with Psycho. I waited for my friend so we can watch Psycho together, and we were both freaking out. Anything else to bring up before we...
Yeah, I think we should go straight to the movie news.
Right on. Let's get to the movie news.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. Cannonball!
Okay, guys, this is the movie news portion of the show, in which I can never do it anymore.
So close.
In which case, we talk about the movie news that has occurred over the past week or so. So, for starters, Justice League has changed its composer. It would appear that the changes that Joss Whedon are doing on Justice League following the tragedy of Zack Snyder that has caused him to leave the project are going to be far more extensive than we previously had imagined. Because originally I believe it was Junkie XL who took over who was kind of the underling of Hans Zimmer for a bit. I didn't know apparently Junkie XL did some work on The Dark Knight Rises. I didn't know that.
Yes, he did. I think it was more like Hans Zimmer's assistant. And then when it came to Batman v Superman, Junkie XL did the Batman stuff and Hans Zimmer did the Superman stuff because Hans Zimmer he spent so many years doing Batman stuff, he wanted to give somebody else a shot at it.
In my opinion, I think the Lex Luthor theme works better as a Batman theme. I don't know. I just feel like it has that gravitas to it. I don't know. The Batman theme from BVS just sounds so, blah. It sounds so Hans Zimmer already. I don't know. I like that Lex Luthor theme. It sounds so different. I feel like it'd be a perfect kind of juxtaposition to the Superman theme. But that's just my personal opinion.
I'm sure it's great. I cannot remember any of that music.
I mean, I don't want to sit here and sing the entire thing. It's the one that's more like ba-bum. Bum, da-dun. It's really good. It's not as awesome as the Wonder Woman theme, and it's not as kind of heroic as the Superman theme, but I really like the Lex Luthor theme. Moving on, Danny Elfman has taken over for Justice League, which is, I guess that's who you call when you need additional music done, because Marvel did that for Age of Ultron.
Yeah,
I think he did some of the Vision stuff. So I guess I don't per se understand what's going on over there. I guess that means the movies being redone than we previously thought. What do you think about this show?
It's going to be hard to fully gauge until the movies come out and all the stories and the post-release, post-mortem or analysis or anything happens. So, but I think that maybe they're reacting to Wonder Woman and maybe they wanted to give the film maybe a bit more positive or an upbeat vibe through the music. Mm-hmm. I don't know why you can't get Junkie XL to just redo the score or remodify it. But yeah, because he also did the score for Deadpool.
Yeah.
Did he? Yeah.
Yeah, he did Deadpool and did Mad Max, yeah.
Before I forget, Junkie XL has got a YouTube channel where he just does a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff and talks about film composing and making music. Like, even if you are not a musician, but you just like movie scores and are interested in what goes into them, just subscribe to him on YouTube. He's a really charismatic guy on the camera, at least I think so. Yeah. But so yeah, check out his YouTube channel. But I think it's interesting, but I don't know if it's important or if it's like if it suggests something about the film.
I think it's definitely important, but sorry, keep going.
Well, I'm not saying that a film score isn't important, but I think because this isn't a case of like Rogue One, where who was the composer in the end, who had like 4 weeks to do the score?
Michael Giacchino.
Who did he? Alexander Desplat, yeah?
Yeah, he replaced Desplat.
Yeah, so he only had like 3 to 4 weeks to do a whole film score.
I need to hear an Alexander Desplat Star Wars score.
It's out there somewhere. It's in a Disney vault.
I bet it's so good to hear him do like a Force theme and Vader, and oh my god! All right.
I like to think that inside Scrooge McDuck's Disney vault is not gold. It's Alexander Desplat's Force score.
It's Disney's head is Disney's frozen head is levitating there, and like when you walk in, the music that plays is the Rogue One canceled score. Oh my god!
So but this is something where the film comes out in November, so it's about 4 or 5 months away.
Yeah, 4.5.
So you can redo a film score in that time effectively and not make it a rush job. Or I'm not saying that Giacchino's score for Rogue One was a rush job or like if it reflected that, but I don't know. This could be nothing. This could just be a very perfectly reasonable thing in hindsight.
I can't look at this and say, where there's smoke, there's fire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you.
Look at what we do know. We know that Zack Snyder has left the project. We know that Joss Whedon has taken over for him, and we were originally told, it's just he's going to be doing some additional filming, some reshoot, second unit stuff. Okay, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And it's like Rogue One. I think it was closer. Perhaps it was like in September when Michael Giacchino took over for the score, but it's still smelled. Something didn't smell right. You know what I mean? I feel like there's something else going on with the movie, and I'm not sure that honestly. And I'm unlike with Rogue One or another like Marvel properties. I think this is nothing but good news. I just think that it is sus that they're not. I feel like they're changing more than they're letting on.
Okay, so I don't have the new story in front of me because I'm worried that the internet's just going to set on fire if I do anything too intensive with it.
Yeah.
But so have they completely gotten rid of Junkie XL? His name's not going to be in the credits, and is it going to be entirely from the ground up Danny Elfman, or maybe? Or are they
I'm checking the news right now.
Because maybe they could be keeping what Junkie XL's already done or portions of it, and just to accommodate the reshoots and any additions that Joss Whedon's bring into the film. Maybe they're bringing Danny Elfman to do some extra scenes, do some extra scoring. I don't know. I've not got the story in front of me, but that could be the case. I don't know.
I would think that. I mean, I think they would use the themes already present there. But I'm maybe he's going to come in and do some stuff with Aquaman and some of the themes of the characters we don't have already, because we already have a theme for Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman. Excuse me.
Oh,
sorry, I'm trying
okay.
to look up the news story and talk at the same time, and I cannot.
Okay, right. So I'm just looking at because I just went on Twitter and I just looked up Tom Holkenborg, which is Junkie XL's real name.
Yeah.
And they're saying that Junkie XL has scored most of Justice League, and that Elfman is doing the additional reshoot footage scores.
What does that even mean?
That means...
I mean, I know what it means, Trilby.
Maybe the reshoots are more extensive than we've been led to believe. But maybe not game-changing, but there's probably going to be a major shift in tone.
It's game-changing enough that they need a completely different composer, and they can't just have some guy come in there and essentially do temp tracks for the already there score. Like that's... It's to get a completely different composer to come, a completely different recognizable composer to come in and say, right, so the other guy... We're doing reshoots. We need you to score this reshoot. We're essentially having you come in and score the movie. That's a whole nother part of the film. If it's that case, why? That's odd.
Junkie XL. I'm just looking more into what people on Twitter are saying, and that he's doing the Tomb Raider score, which is currently in post production. So maybe it was scheduling. Maybe, but I think that when you've got somebody like, say, Brian Tyler or Henry Jackman who do literally 6 or 7 scores every single year, I don't think scheduling for a composer is as big a deal as maybe it was decades ago when when you didn't have the internet and you could not communicate via Skype to do a score. I don't know.
No, I mean, how long did Michael Giacchino have to do Rogue One?
3 to 4 weeks, because he has to do the score, and they also have to mix it into the film and sync it all up and everything. So it's just an additional process.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, they're both credited as writing music for the film. So does Justice League really have 8 screenwriters? Okay, now I was gonna say, Jesus. Sorry,
I thought The Mummy was bad.
Yeah, The Mummy...
But it's 6 screenwriters.
Guess what else has 6 screenwriters? I just looked. Spider-Man Homecoming apparently has 6 screenwriters.
Oh, did you hear that sound? That's my expectations tanking.
Did you hear that? You just hear a gunshot in the background. The sound of Trilby's hope dying.
but Junkie XL has put an official statement on Twitter saying, "As my mentor Hans Zimmer told me, you haven't made it in Hollywood as a composer until you get replaced on a project, so I guess I finally graduated this week. It pains me to leave the project, but a big thanks to Zack for asking me to be a part of his vision, and I wish Danny, Joss, and Warner Brothers all the best of Justice League." So this is conflicting. This sounds like an official departure from him, but apparently he's only doing Elfman's only doing the reshoot scores. This is they need to fix the messaging on this. Like, even if it's not a bad thing, we can't have conflicting info, otherwise people will talk.
Sorry, I was just checking if making sure I was correct. Yes, Spider-Man Homecoming does have 6 screenwriters. You got Jonathan Goldstein, John Francis Zaley, John Watts, right, Johns, Christopher Ford, Chris McKenna, and Eric Summers. 6 screenwriters, guys. Spider-Man Homecoming has 6 people writing the movie. All right.
No. You don't know. You
Also,
don't need that
Sony,
many.
a 30-second ad played for Spider-Man Homecoming in front of a video, and guess what one of the lines in the trailer was?
Oh god, what?
I have to do this on my own.
I'm the only one who can stop them. It's up to us to save the world.
That's exactly what he said. I'm the only one that can stop him. I gotta do this on my own.
For those of you who don't know, when I was talking about, I think it was Ghostbusters, I was saying how the trailer wasn't great because Sony make their trailers by a formula, and their formula almost always for big blockbusters at least, has a line along the lines of "We're the only ones who can stop them," or "I'm the only one who can save the world," or they always seem to have that in their blockbuster tentpole trailers.
Something that makes the audience think, "Oh no, the hero's got his back against the wall. Oh, be excited!" And it just shows the lazy, formulaic nature that Amy Pascal and everyone at Sony is.
But they don't
was she not fired?
She quote unquote stepped down.
Well, she's still producer. She's still a major producer on Spider-Man: Homecoming. So
yeah, she's just not the head of Sony.
Okay.
And, but the deal with Sony and Marvel for the custody of Spider-Man was done in part under Amy Pascal's watch.
That was a desperation move. She was the barrel of the gun was in her mouth, and someone walked in and was like, "What if we give Spider-Man the Marvel?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, that'll work." And she puts the gun away for a
she puts the
day.
gun down, and then it just goes off on the table, and it shoots her in the leg or something.
She's like, "What about a Venom trilogy?" And she accidentally shoots herself. Yeah.
Yeah, with Tom Hardy, and then Kevin Feige's like, "That sounds. I don't know how I feel."
Kevin Feige's like, "That's a terrible idea. Why don't we not do that?" And he goes like, "Yeah, we're gonna do it anyways." He's like, "All right, yeah, we're gonna kill Spider-Man in the next movie. We don't need him, so we'll just kill him off." Yeah, bye guys.
But for Justice League, I think you're right in saying where there's smoke, there's fire. But I think Warner Brothers just needs to really just let us know what is happening, because speculation helps nobody, and it just makes things worse. They have spent
the last year trying to show everybody that Justice League is going to be a good movie. They spent the like after Batman and Superman came out. Remember they had that press release where they sent a bunch of press to the set of Justice League, and they showed off a lot of the scenes with like Commissioner Gordon and Flash, and then they had the trailer at Comic-Con. They spent like a year making sure like this is gonna be good. It's gonna be a good movie, guys. And then suddenly there's just been like just this pile up of just awful bad juju all over this movie. Meanwhile, the Flash looks great. So I mean, I've already made that joke, but I'll make it again.
it's worth doing it. Maybe you came back in time from the future to do that joke again.
Trilby! Rotten Tomatoes!
Aquaman's the key!
Cyborg, it's actually the best! 98% who knew?
By the way, Ant-Man and the Wasp
It was directed
sucks.
by Twyla Perry. Oh god, yeah. It's like Infinity War bombs! Oh.
3 million opening weekend!
Bombs isn't like it makes the most money in any movie ever! Oh. Also, Ray's parents are actually, I gotta go!
And then we just
the Disney sniper followed me through the wormhole.
And then just a snobby film critic is just there going, why did he use that to just give us movie trivia? He can travel in time.
Why don't you go back and kill Hitler? It creates that paradox.
It does.
Anybody that asked that question, for you guys that don't know, if you were to go back in time to kill Hitler, then you never would have needed to go back in time to kill Hitler, and it creates a. It would honestly probably create a black hole because it's so bloody confusing.
Unless you go into multiverse theory, in which it just creates another universe.
I can't work. Yeah, there's not only is there a universe where you kill Hitler, there's a universe where you kill Hitler and it doesn't work, or you kill Hitler and you don't come back to the present. There's so many different ideas. I like them.
And I've gone cross-eyed.
Yeah, Murph.
Nice.
Okay. Next story here. Jesus, we're already 20 minutes in. All right, next story. It is officially been confirmed. I think it was confirmed a while back, but I think the next X-Men movie, which is currently filming, or it's about to start filming this year, X-Men Dark Phoenix, which I think is a worse title than what they originally had. Everyone hates on Supernova. I like that title. It's whatever. It can't be any worse than Apocalypse. I mean, that's a generic title, but I don't know.
To be fair, that's the name of the villain.
Yeah, but I mean, it just, I don't know. Dark Phoenix is just like, ooh. Plus, I guess let me read the rest of the story here. Simon Kinberg, has been confirmed as the director of the film. He's been producing and writing the X-Men films for a while now. He's done work, I think, with Matthew Vaughn. He's done stuff at Lucasfilm. I think he's been working on Star Wars Rebels, The Clone Wars, with Dave Filoni. He's kind of just been had his fingers in a bunch of multi-million-dollar pies. And the first class cast has been has been confirmed to return, which means we're getting Michael Fassbender, James McAvoy, and that lamp. So not to mention,
lamp.
yeah, the lamp that once had potential and gave really riveting performances in movies, and then decided that I'm making millions of dollars, I don't have to try anymore. I'm referring to Jennifer Lawrence if people don't understand yet. I can't stand her. I haven't been able to. I can't. I really hate her, guys. I can't. Jesus, she's just the worst. Anyways, Jessica Chastain is rumored to play the villain. What do you think, Trilby?
The X-Men franchise is in such a weird place right now.
Yeah.
Because in the last year and a half, we've had 3 X-Men films.
Two have been good.
No, we had Deadpool, Logan, and Apocalypse.
Yeah.
And Apocalypse was the $200 million sure thing. This is going to be the great one. Even if the 2R rated risks bomb, we've still got this one. But then Deadpool and Logan get massive critical acclaim and make all of the money, despite only costing a quarter or half of the budget. And then Apocalypse is just so lukewarm. It made money, but Logan made more money than X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah.
And Deadpool nearly doubled X-Men Apocalypse's gross, and it didn't
Logan's
even open in
made
China.
the most, or Deadpool made the most out of any of the X-Men movies, right? It's the highest grossing.
So when you have to do this star-studded $200 million blockbuster, but your small offshoots, which are much cheaper to make and much more well-acclaimed, are making more money, where does 20th Century Fox stand with their comic book properties? I feel like they're only doing this out of obligation, which is why there doesn't seem to be much momentum in terms of the marketing machine for this, or the news outlets. I'm not sure. I just don't feel excited for it.
I'm definitely not excited for it. I'm more excited now that I know that that Bryan Singer has left. I'm thinking, because are they gonna go cosmic with it? That's my guess. My question is, how, if they go zany with it and they give us X-Men in space, awesome. I'm down for X-Men in space. Mm-hmm. I would imagine Hugh Jackman is not coming back to play Wolverine, considering the fact that Logan died in Logan. Spoilers! It's been out for 3 months. It's been out for 3 months. Screw it. It's whatever.
It comes out on Blu-ray in a week or two, doesn't it?
It came out on Blu-ray last week.
Oh, okay, we don't have it yet.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, yeah, dude, Logan Noir. When you do get it on Blu-ray, watch the black and white version. It's top.
Oh, does that come automatically with it? Is that
I think it comes with the Blu-ray. Yeah, there's a second disc,
so cool.
Logan Noir, and it's so beautiful. Anyways, I definitely didn't pirate it.
Just and that's just me asking if Logan Noir comes on the Blu-ray. You wouldn't know.
I really wouldn't. I've seen covers of the Blu-ray, and it's includes Logan Noir, so I would imagine it does. So I'm just speaking on that, but I have not physically seen the Blu-ray in my presence now.
Okay.
But I mean, if they go cosmic with it, then I'm more excited with it. Jessica Chastain's always an addition, unless your name's the Huntsman. I can't believe I saw that. I still haven't seen Aliens, but I've seen the Huntsman.
Priorities, man.
Yeah. I'm excited to see Ty Sheridan always get work. He's always impressing me what he does. Mm-hmm. I liked pretty much all of the new cast except for Sophie Turner as Jean Grey, and since this movie's about her, it's even better. Can't wait for that Jennifer Lawrence to be on screen with Mystique for 90 seconds.
Yeah. But I think if they do go cosmic with Dark Phoenix, they might hit a bit of backlash, because Infinity War will have been 6 months previous. So
would Infinity War be out? Dark Phoenix would be out next year, I guess.
Yeah, the release date for Dark Phoenix is November 2nd, 2018.
Oh! They're
so
taking
that will
Captain Marvel's old spot. What else? I thought something else was coming out around that time.
I can double check.
Yeah.
But if they go cosmic, they run the risk of looking like they're copying Marvel's Infinity War. And considering that Apocalypse was kind of raked over the coals for just being it probably would have been really well received if it came out in 2003 or 2004. Oh, yeah. But because we've seen so many big bad destroys the world, and then there's the speeches and the dust piles and everything. It just seems so derivative, so I don't think they want that backlash again.
I remember back when they were first making Apocalypse, like in 2015, they were just like, look at this, guys, look how big of a scale it is, look at all this green screen. I'm like, I don't want that. Like, that's not what I want with my movies.
Okay, so coming out on November 2nd is Disney's Mulan.
Wow.
And an untitled Paramount Pictures film.
Oh.
And the week after, we've got Bad Boys for Life, and the second Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them movie.
Jesus.
Oh, also the week after. The week after that, we've got Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Oh my God!
The week after that, we've got the animated Miles Morales Spider-Man movie.
Why?
Then the week after that, we've got Aquaman. Then the week after that, we've got Mary Poppins, and Bryan Singer directs the Freddie Mercury biopic.
Bryan Singer's doing Freddie Mercury?
Yes.
Oh, hell.
So that's going to be fun.
Who's in it? Who's Mercury?
The film's called Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, lame. You should have called it The Queen. Call it The Queen.
Should have called it Queen Pun. I want to break free.
I know what your tagline is. In a world of legends, he became royalty. Bam, that's your Freddie Mercury biopic there.
in a world of kings, he became a queen.
He became a queen.
Okay,
and he died because of it. What?
Rami Malek is playing Freddie Mercury.
Oh, Bloody Mr. Robot. I mean, I guess. I mean, Sacha Baron Cohen was right there, but whatever.
Because Sacha Baron Cohen was attached for the longest time for this, but then
and I think Q took over for a bit, and then he dropped out. And I didn't know who it was after that.
I think it was something to do with Sacha Baron Cohen wanting to go really dark with the film, and it would be R-rated, but the studio was like, no, we don't want to do an R-rated biopic of this. And the other Queen members, the living Queen band members, didn't want Freddie Mercury portrayed in that negative light.
Even though we all know what... Okay, I mean, sure. I mean,
Yeah, it's the same reason the Frank Sinatra biopic with Martin Scorsese will not get made, because Sinatra's living family members don't want him to be portrayed negatively.
Fine.
Yeah.
Fine. I'll do it in 30 years. Give me a second. I can do this. Give me some time.
Good.
Give me time to grow up. Okay, well, I guess that's all I have to say about the X-Men stuff. That's a packed month. All right.
It is. It's a packed... 2018 is really, really packed.
Well, we're not getting a Star Wars movie in December that year. We're getting Han... Unless they have the balls to move Han Solo to December. But I think they're keeping it in May.
It's May 25th, and then the week after is Deadpool 2. The week after is Ocean's 8 and the Bumblebee Transformers film.
Oh, yeah, which is apparently going to be set in the 80s, and what's-her-face is in it?
Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah.
And the week after is Incredibles 2. And the week after is Jurassic
Nothing
World
else
2.
matters. Nothing else matters.
And the week after is Barbie, which lost
Amy Schumer. She's still
Amy
in it?
Schumer. Yeah, she dropped out.
Thank God. All right. Anyways, not for the reason you might think. I just hate Amy Schumer.
And also not for the reason you might think.
Yeah. Well,
but
not because I'm sexist. I just hate Amy Schumer. I just can't stand her. I can't stand her.
Yeah,
God.
She's an acquired taste, isn't she?
Something like that. You know, the same way that a dog turd is an acquired taste. If you're into that kind of thing, then perhaps you'll enjoy it.
See, I'm just... I don't want to go on too much of a tangent, but I'm just looking at the 2018 release schedule. There's the Holmes and Watson film with Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly in August. The Predator, Shane Black's Predator film, which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
There's the Jason Statham giant shark movie Meg.
Oh, Meg, yes. That's like what I highly anticipated. I'll be able to drink at that point. Oh, it'll be great. Anyways.
There's the Scarface remake with Diego Luna.
What's his face is doing it, right? Bloody Fuqua, isn't he doing it? Antoine Fuqua?
On Wikipedia, he's not put down as a director, but he might have dropped out, or maybe they've just not put him in yet.
I thought Fuqua was doing it.
I think he's in negotiations for it, but Joel and Ethan Coen are writing it, the Coen brothers.
God, that's gonna be... Oh, I'm so ready. Diego Luna is so talented. Oh, I wish they would have given him more to do in Rogue One.
I mean, 2018 is going to be awesome.
It might, but I thought 2016 was going to be great, so let's
that is true. I think we need to do like a summer post-mortem of just so much disappointment.
Yeah, 2016 was looking to be one of the best years in movies like ever. But to be fair, 2015 was like one of the best years in movies in the last few years. So
I was thinking about this earlier after watching like Pirates of the Caribbean, the latest one, and I was just thinking, blimey, 2016 was meant to be like 2012, but it wound up more like 2011.
yeah. Oh bugger. Oh boy.
Bother. Anyway.
All right. Yeah, we have one more story to get through here, children.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the wake of the Mummy's absolute disaster, I think what did it do, like 30 million opening weekend?
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to lose the studio some money from the looks of it, unless it can make it back internationally, which it's doing well internationally. It has come out in reports that apparently Tom Cruise more or less hijacked the entire production and was able to abuse the fact that first-time kind of big studio director Alex Kurtzman was not experienced with handling these kind of big budget projects, and so like, apparently like things that I haven't seen the movie, but apparently like script he made changes to the script. He was apparently very demanding on set, and he became like a nightmare, and which just entertains me so, because it really just proved the fact that Tom Cruise might be the craziest man making the most money right now, and it's. Yeah. Oh, it's great, isn't it? That's not a politician.
But like, it's interesting. This story, it's weird because they seem to have thrown Tom Cruise under the bus for this project, which it's underperformed domestically, but internationally, it's Tom Cruise's biggest opening weekend ever. And The Mummy's probably going to make Universal money. It's not going to make them the amount of money they really wanted to, but...
It's not going to make Minions money.
It's not going. No, it's not. But when you release Jurassic World, The Minions, and Fast and Furious 7 in the same summer, you can afford to have a loss. You
can afford a Mummy or a Steve Jobs, yeah.
Yeah, or a Ted 2, which was a disappointment as well for them.
Yeah.
But it's... Because Tom Cruise is not a producer on The Mummy. I think he obviously had a lot of insight. He had a lot of involvement in the project. I was listening to an interview with Annabelle Wallis earlier, and she was saying how there was always the plane crash sequence in the trailer. It's not a spoiler because it's in the trailer and it kind of kickstarts the events of the film.
And plus, if you wanted to see The Mummy, you would have seen The Mummy already. So spoilers for The Mummy.
That is true, but there's the plane crash sequence, and that was in the script, and it was when Tom Cruise was having meetings with Alex Kurtzman early on, saying, we want to like do a real practical plane crash, as in we want to go zero gravity, we want to do this, we want to make this awesome big screen experience for the audience. And that was Tom Cruise's suggestion, so he had like major heft in terms of he was able to suggest ideas and invest millions and millions of dollars into doing these stunts and make the practical effects and everything. But he's not a producer, so someone still had the capacity to rein him in if it was a problem. And at the premiere, it was one of the producers who was saying that The Mummy has two phases, pre-Tom Cruise and post-Tom Cruise, and that working with Tom Cruise was amazing and he had so much input and it was brilliant, but now that the film has bombed, or at least bombed domestically and has been critically panned, now we can just throw Tom Cruise under the bus, which I think is a bit disingenuous and kind of unfair.
Yeah, I mean, alright. Listen, I can't have as much investment in this and talk about the injustice of The Mummy, just because Tom Cruise is gonna go cry about it in his giant pile of Mission Impossible money. MI6 comes out next year, doesn't it? Comes out next year, doesn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
Henry Cavill's the villain, I'm pretty sure, which is pretty sick. I can't wait for a Henry Cavill versus Tom Cruise fight. That's gonna be fun to watch. To see this like 6'5", incredibly built British guy, Superman essentially take on a child. It's gonna be fun.
Watch them make Tom Cruise wear platformed shoes in Henry Cavill's presence in order to make him look just as tall.
Oh, absolutely. There's gonna be a shot of where they're gonna be looking eye to eye. I'm like, he's standing on like 5 books, right? Like, they've got like 5. They got the entire Harry Potter saga for him to stand on. Yeah.
Well, there's the photo with all the Dark Universe cast all assembled together, and Tom Cruise is standing next to Russell Crowe. Now, Russell Crowe is a tall man. But if you look at that Dark Universe photo, him and Tom Cruise are standing, like, at eye level.
How?
No way. That's not a thing.
How? Wait,
The power of Photoshop,
I gotta find that picture. I'm like, there's no way.
Just Google Dark Universe photo, and it's the very first one.
That's pretty funny.
And it's got the photos of all the main cast members for the Dark Universe. But unless Tom Cruise was the first person in the board meeting to mention the word prodigium, he is not the main problem with The Mummy. I'm sure that he did have a lot of input which did not help the project, but there are producers and above-the-line people, and hiring Alex Kurtzman was a massive issue as well, I think. Having 3 screenwriters and 3 people do the story, so essentially 6 writers, having a $125 million budget on what is meant to be a horror franchise. This was just a project that was doomed to fail from the outset on a creative side, and I think just throwing Tom Cruise under the bus is disingenuous on the part of Universal, and if they genuinely think he was the issue, or at least the main issue, they're going to have a major wake-up call when Invisible Man or Bride of Frankenstein just makes the exact same mistakes.
Is that Javier Bardem?
Yes, he's going to be Frankenstein's monster.
Why?
Because after Pirates of the Caribbean, he felt like embarrassing himself a bit more.
If you want to take the story of Frankenstein's monster seriously, which they're not going to do, but if you were to take it seriously, just adapt the book, which is really not that difficult of a thing to do, because it's not meant to be an action movie, so don't make it an action movie.
Yeah.
For those of you guys that haven't read the book, it's about this guy. We're in the Arctic, who finds this guy stranded out in the ice, and they pick him up, and the guy that they find, his name is Victor Frankenstein. He tells the story, and essentially it's about this guy that grows up and wants to be ambitious, and decides to become obsessed with death after tragedy, and it's a good book, and he ends up creating this monster. But the monster itself is not like this. It's not really a horror thing either. It's really this tragic drama. But it's I can see Javier Bardem playing the role of Frankenstein's monster, but why don't you just make him Victor Frankenstein? Because I would imagine that they're not going to... unless they're going to turn Frankenstein into, an Avenger, and, turn him a super-powered action hero, which they shouldn't. But just do Frankenstein the movie.
We'll talk about The Mummy more when we get into the homework section, but...
Fair.
But yeah, I think it's a case of them putting the cart way before the horse here. But if you wanted to... if you don't have time for them fancy books there, you can always watch the National Theatre production of Frankenstein. I think it's on YouTube. It's directed by Danny Boyle, and it's got Benedict Cumberbatch and Johnny Lee Miller as Victor Frankenstein and the creature. And the reason I say that they play both is because on alternating nights of the theatre performance, they would swap roles.
That sounds... I am now going to take a evening to watch that, because that sounds like literally the best thing ever. So
it's more or less like a straight lift from the book as well.
Oh, yes.
And,
so the scene in the cabin where he hears people talking still happens?
Yes. I think the only thing missing, or at least
that's my
played
favorite
down...
chapter.
I think the only part that's really played down is the Arctic, and the fact that the book, if I recall, is mainly from Victor Frankenstein's perspective, relaying the story to whoever finds him.
Yeah, I forget the guy's name that finds him. Henry's the guy that Victor had a crush on. Well, that's just in my version of the story. But Henry's his best friend.
The version of the play I saw was Johnny Lee Miller as Victor Frankenstein and Cumberbatch was the creature.
Does the creature talks, right? He eventually can talk. Yeah,
he does, and it's like it starts off slightly broken English, and then he just becomes more fluent as the play goes along, and it's impeccably well staged as well. They've got a revolving stage. It's awesome.
Well, one of my favorite parts of that story is just how is the tragedy of that monster, and how it's, he's brought to life, and it's essentially like, baby Groot. He's brought to life, he doesn't know what's going on, he expects to have a father, and he ends up having this douche of a guy that tells him to leave, and he has to learn English from stalking people and reading books, and it's a really good story. But we're not getting that, though. We're gonna get some people are gonna go into a forest, and it's watching me found footage. They're like the fall.
I was gonna say, if Universal learns anything from The Mummy, it should be slash the budget in half, and keep slicing until you have like Blumhouse level budgets.
Yeah.
And if you need to get like say Johnny Depp or Angelina Jolie or whatever to get to be in your Universal monster film, then give them like a back end deal. Like
give them some residuals.
Yeah, they get 10% of the profit if they only do their role for like $500,000 or whatever.
10%. Hold on.
Well,
10%.
I'm just throwing numbers.
That's
out
how Tobey
here.
Maguire made like $90 million on Spider-Man, by the way.
Hey, but
10% of that profit.
It means he can make porn sacrifice sequels. It means he can do those sequels until the end of his days. But yeah, you need to slice those budgets because
Great
those
Gatsby prequel set in World War One.
Yes, starring Wonder Woman.
Oh my god!
But yeah, you need to slice the budget because otherwise it's just more money than sense when you're making this franchise. But we'll talk more about that in homework.
All right. Well, that's the last story I have, and you know what, Shelby? Let's get to the homework.
Let's talk about the mummy.
The mummy.
Show me the mummy.
How many times did that Jake? How many times did that joke has been said? How many times? Since he's been cast in the movie, right? Like,
it has been. Even Tom Cruise has made that joke multiple times.
Show me the mummy. That's so good. Anyways, all right, yeah, homework.
This week, each one of you has a homework assignment.
Your homework is to listen to some real music, get inspired.
Is this your homework, Larry?
Down with homework?
Alright guys, this movie is a portion of those... No, wait, no it's not. It's not the movie news. I'm just gonna keep this all in. Welcome to the homework section of the show, guys. In which case...
Who needs editing?
That was... No. In which case, we just talk about the movies we were either assigned to see, or just saw on our own. Homework. Chilby, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, let's keep talking about the mummy. But I'll preface this by saying that a couple of days before me and my fiance went to watch The Mummy 2017, starring Tom Cruise, is that we have a Universal Monsters Blu-ray box set. So we watched the 1932 Mummy, starring Boris Karloff and with director Karl Freund, I think that's how you pronounce it, essentially making his directorial debut with this film, because he'd been a cinematographer for other Universal Monster films like Dracula, and he the first scene of The Mummy 1932, this film's only like an hour long, like 70 minutes long max, but the first 10 minutes are legitimately scary and creepy. There's minimal music. It's just these guys who have found the mummy corpse. The mummy is Imhotep, played by Boris Karloff, and they find this mummified tomb. He's in the sarcophagus, and this rash guy decides to read this scroll, and then as he slowly opens his eyes and his hand comes into frame, it's genuinely scary. And this is done on zero budget, black and white, back in the 1930s. It's really, really tense and awesome and scary. The middle bit is kind of boring, but the ending is awesome. Boris Karloff is just such a wonderful presence on screen, and you can, if you've not watched any of the Universal Monsters films in black and white, you can get box sets. It's awesome. I really highly recommend it. And I don't recommend you see The Mummy 2017 because it doesn't really know what it wants to be. It wants to try and be a horror film. I was surprised that this film is rated 15 in the UK. I don't know if it's PG-13 in America, but there's...
No, it's a hard R, truly. No, it's PG-13 here.
Why is there so much nudity and blood?
There's nudity and blood in the movie?
Yeah, did we just get like a hardcore version in the UK?
I'm accessing my internet.
Sophia Botella naked. What? But yeah,
Shelby, did you hack my history?
Yeah, it's. I don't have to hack it if it's obvious. But for The Mummy, it wants to be a Brendan Fraser mummy style action adventure in the vein of like Pirates of the Caribbean. It also wants to be a horror film with a bunch of jump scares. It also basically rips off American Werewolf in London by giving Tom Cruise a comical sidekick who is dead and is talking to him from beyond the grave. It's basically directly stolen from American Werewolf in London.
Haven't seen it.
No, you should. That is another film that you need to catch up on. It really does stand the test of time.
On my list.
But the best way to describe The Mummy is imagine for a moment that there's no Marvel Cinematic Universe, that all of your mind is wiped of everything Marvel from 2008 onwards.
All right.
Now imagine that Marvel says we're going to be doing the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the first film we're doing is Iron Man 2. And then it is Iron Man, but it's Iron Man 2. It's basically the exact same plot. It has the exact same beats, and basically, unless you're piggybacking off the first Iron Man 2 just is basically just teasing the Avengers and Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. and it's tough for Iron Man to find screen time in Iron Man 2. But it's not so bad because it's Iron Man 2 and you can kind of get away with that because you're expanding the world. But The Mummy is Iron Man 2 without any sort of context or backing. The Mummy gets, no joke, she's third billing in The Mummy. It's Tom Cruise and Annabelle Wallis. And then there's also Russell Crowe thrown in for good measure.
Now, does Russell Crowe gets the "and" credit, or does Sophia Boutella get the "and" credit?
Russell Crowe gets the "and," but
Okay.
I swear he gets more screen time than Sophia Boutella,
Right.
which is a shame because she is awesome. She is an awesome, badass, scary presence on screen.
She continues to surprise me in everything that she's in. I thought she was pretty good in Kingsman. I thought she was great in the last Star Trek movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's got a great presence, and she looks great with the makeup. She's genuinely scary at points. But this is the Tom Cruise show, and I'm just going to spoil this right here, right now. Tom Cruise does not play a Universal Monsters movie character. He is not Van Helsing. He is not Wolfman. He is not Dracula. He is just some guy.
Generic white guy number 29. All right.
Yeah, his name is Nick Morton, and it is staying that way. He's not like there's no spoiler at the end where he turns into the Wolfman, and he has to fight the Mummy. There's nothing like he is.
How sick would that be? I'd see it just for that.
It would be pretty cool, but this film just does not have the ambition for it. It just wants to acknowledge that the Mummy is a thing that exists, and that Tom Cruise is going to be in sequels, and that there is an organisation called Prodigium that, and I quote, kills evil, or wants to find the cure for evil, run by Dr. Henry Jekyll, played by Russell Crowe. But when he transforms into Hyde, there's nothing really informing the transformation. We don't really know what really makes Hyde tick. It's sort of like, we've got Dr. Henry Jekyll in the film, so he has to turn into Hyde at some point, and we don't really need it to be informed by character at any point. So Tom Cruise only exists in this film to have Prodigium and the Universal Monsters universe explained to him. About 40-50% of The Mummy is comprised of Tom Cruise reaction shots. Great. Where he is reacting to something happening, or he is reacting to exposition being thrown at him. Annabelle Wallis is completely wasted as just generic Tom Cruise love interest who is about 20 years younger than him.
She's generic white girl number 49. Great, awesome, fantastic.
Yeah,
okay.
This is sounding very depressing. And Alex Kurtzman was completely the wrong guy to approach this. Mainly because he's directed like a no-budget film in 2012 with he was able to make Chris Pine unlikable, which is kind of difficult when you think about it. And then he's just now doing a $125 million blockbuster with The Mummy, which is setting up an entire universe, and it's just not a good fit. And I think if you want to set up a new franchise, you don't give the guy who was responsible for the Amazing Spider-Man films free reign or free creative control. That's just a very bad decision right off the bat. The Mummy just really wants to set up this universe, but it just forgets about the Mummy, which is the most interesting part of the Mummy. And spoiler warning for the next minute, Sophia Boutella does not make it out of this film. So the most interesting part of this cinematic universe setup is not, or at least unless they do a massive retcon, is not going to be part. The Mummy is not going to be part of the Universal Monster movies going forward.
So is she not the Mummy in the? Hold on, wait a minute. So is the cinematic universe supposed to be? So then why isn't Tom Cruise just Van Helsing?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. This is just, if it were up to me, if for some reason Universal just knocked on my door and said, "Hey, we know you've not done anything film-wise in the past, but we'd like to give you a $125 million blockbuster and launch a cinematic universe," which is, I'm assuming, the exact same conversation they had with Alex Kurtzman. That would have been
Sony sent us to you. We sent an email to Sony and they told us that you'd be good for it. We're going to take their advice.
See, what I said there would have been a really funny burn if I hadn't have just completely fumbled the delivery. But yeah, I would probably have started with a Jekyll and Hyde film, and
really?
and just have it as a Jekyll and Hyde modern day feature film, 90 to 100 minutes long, and then a post-credit scene is Henry Jekyll setting up this organisation, and then you use that to springboard it.
Does the Mummy have a post-credit scene?
No, it does not.
I was kind of hoping for like a Dracula Untold style ending where it's like it's time to it's time to keep going. Cinematic universe.
The ending, it feels so rushed and forced that it just throws a set of mechanics into the universe that are not explained, and then it just kind of threatens a cliffhanger without establishing what we're meant to be looking
you can stop
forward to.
tiptoeing around spoilers. We can just go full spoilers if you'd like to go full spoilers.
Okay, are you planning to see this? Are you bothered?
No, I don't.
Okay,
no.
God, no. So what happens is that Tom Cruise and Annabelle Wallis, they find the mummy, they break it free, and they take it. They take the sarcophagus on a plane. The plane crashes, and then she escapes and starts consuming souls in order to become stronger and become more like the one that we see in the poster and in the trailers.
To film that plane crash sequence, why didn't they just do what Nolan did and just make a rotating set? I mean, if you've got $125 million, how about maybe instead of having a plane go around for 98,000 times, how about you just build a rotating set?
Well, if you watch the behind-the-scenes stuff, it looks awesome, the stuff that they're doing, and it looks great, and you can see why Tom Cruise really wanted to do it, to give like a real great big-screen spectacle, but Alex Kurtzman is just not equipped to film blockbusters, so it's photographed terribly. Like you don't get, it's just fast cuts and loads of editing, so you don't really get a good sense that they are really filming practically in a zero gravity environment. Like the whole film, it's just the CGI is just not on par. It just makes you. There's no reason they couldn't have predominantly gone for practical makeup for the Mummy's henchmen, which they really should have done. There's like maybe 2 or 3 action set pieces, but most of them either take place just in the middle of the forest or are just clearly a soundstage, which is meant to be London. So the mummy, what happens is that she wants the dagger of Set, which is the Egyptian god of the dead, who she did a bargain with back when she was alive in Egyptian times, and she needs to put this gem on the dagger and stab Tom Cruise with it because she has cursed Tom Cruise to be the new human host for Set. And why is this plot so complicated? It's the bloody mummy. And then what happens is that Tom Cruise, in order to save Annabelle Wallis's life because she drowns, and this person who he only met 1 day ago, he decides, I'm just going to risk my life for this person. So I'm going to stab myself with the dagger, which somehow defeats the mummy. I don't know how. I've been thinking about this film for a week, and I still do not know how. And then I'm just going to be hidden in shadow while Annabelle Wallis comes back to life, and I say, I don't know what I've become, I don't know what I am, I've got to go, and then he disappears. We have no idea what he's become, who he is, what the hell's going on here, and then the film just ends with him riding into the sunset on a horse, and it's like, what is this? What am I meant to be excited for if this is meant to be a cliffhanger to a new dark universe? The film just feels so producer-driven. It doesn't feel Tom Cruise driven. It feels like a bunch of creatives just thought, we need a cinematic universe. We've got the Universal monsters. Let's just do that. But let's not give any thought to it. He rode off into
the sunset.
Yeah, on a horse.
And he truly was magnificent.
Yeah,
that's lame.
If it wasn't for the fact that they've clearly invested so much into this, and that the Dark Universe logo opens the film.
That's what I heard. I heard they opened to Dark Universe. I'm like, that's ballsy.
Yeah, they do the Universal logo, which is the globe and the words Universal, and then the globe spins around, and on the other side of the globe is the words Dark Universe. So they're clearly planning, like, this is going to be the jumping off point,
it's like when you watch
Untold
Devil.
was meant to be.
It's like when you watch Devil, and it's like night. You're like, oh, okay, and then it goes to a number 1, and you're like, oh, because this is the first movie of a planned series of movies.
Oh boy, yeah, and apparently the reason that they released that Dark Universe photo with them all hastily photoshopped together because they couldn't get them in the same room so quickly at short notice was because the tracking for the mummy was not good. But this does not need to be $120 million. If you can make the original Mummy in 1932 on a budget of like $1 million, you can do this like on 50-60 million max, and you slash the budget, make it more horror focus on practical effects, and you could have something pretty special here. But if you do want a massive like Avengers style team up with these monsters, then where does the Phantom of the Opera come in? Where does Hunchback of Notre Dame come in? Because those aren't big blockbuster
some of these guys
characters.
are just dudes that just kind of do stuff. So what's the yeah?
Yeah, I don't want the Phantom of the Opera to be the Hawkeye of the group. Like, you need to have some variety here.
Like Frankenstein is being super strong, and the mummy's like doing like supernatural stuff, and Dracula's flying around.
The Phantom of the Opera's just crying over the woman he could never have.
just sitting there. Oh god, that's hilarious.
But
oh, that's amazing.
Like, the Mummy is not without merit. Like, Sophia Botella's awesome. The backstory that they give the Mummy is great, even though it's basically told in flashback with Russell Crowe narrating the whole thing because they think the audience is stupid. The Mummy stuff is pretty cool in The Mummy. And there's some trippy visuals because Tom Cruise is cursed and he hallucinates and sees some messed up stuff. And there's a surprising amount of gore, which I appreciated. And like Tom Cruise performance-wise, he's doing fine, even though he's completely miscast for this sort of role. They're wanting like a swaggering thief who you don't know if he's good or bad, but Tom Cruise wants to be a real charismatic, clearly a good guy. Like he's completely miscast in this role.
Who would you have cast in the role?
Someone like a Bradley Cooper or maybe like Chris Pratt, even though that's such a cliche thing to do. You need someone with a bit younger. Because The Rock is apparently going to be the Wolfman, or at least he's in negotiations.
No, dude, he's still Scorpion King.
Yes. Well, actually, one of the props in the Prodigium underground base that they have in the Natural History Museum in London is that they've got the Book of the Dead from the Brendan Fraser Mummy films.
Oh, wait. Alright, wait a minute. So you're telling... So, like, you sure there's not a post-credit scene where, like, someone's sitting in a diner, and they're like, what was that guy's name from the 30s? And it's like old Brendan Fraser. He just turns to the camera and is like, Imhotep. And then he just, like, walks out.
There is no post-credit scene.
But like, perfect. If we're gonna be that stupid with it, let's just go that way, guys. Let's Fast and Furious this franchise and just go all out with it. All right. I want to see the Mummy flying around on like the back of Dracula, and then Dracula turn like to a giant bat and knock out. I don't know, police. Who would they fight? They're the villains. Who do they fight?
It just seems like Universal have really bungled their approach.
The only person they could probably fight is like Satan. So just have him fight.
That was going to be, I believe, the plan after Dracula Untold, where there was
the devil?
They were talking about how I can't exactly remember because the film was like 4 years ago and no one remembers Dracula Untold.
It was 2.5 years ago, and I like Dracula Untold.
See, I also like Dracula Untold. I just can't remember anything apart from Batman.
Are you talking about the one that I remember this movie very, very quick? Are you talking about the vampire that cursed Charles Dance? Because didn't the devil curse Charles Dance into being the original vampire? Yeah,
and isn't the idea that they're gonna like assemble all these monsters to fight the devil?
Yes, the game begins. Yes,
yeah, that's what I thought the plan. That's what the plan I think was going to be, which sounds awesome. But no, there's no for the Mummy, even though it's trying to be Iron Man 2, there's no end game in sight.
We're watching the Wolfman, and then suddenly, like, he starts wolfing out, and then he becomes like this, and then he becomes like 2002 CGI. And you're like, what is this?
It's not great, but
and then a guy like the main character of the Wolfman movie, that's not the Wolfman's like, what is this? And then you hear like a knock on the door, and it's old Rachel Weisz, and it's like, I know how to stop this.
And then Sean Connery comes in from the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh,
and he's like, so we're some kind of monster squad.
I feel like they're building the Monster Squad, but I feel like if they're taking this franchise seriously, they won't make a movie called Monster Squad, but what else are you going to call it?
But think back to 2010 when Iron Man 2 came out. We knew that the end game here was the Avengers. We knew that Thor, Captain America, and Hulk were all coming together for this, but even though The Mummy is basically Iron Man 2, we don't know what this is building towards, apart from, Johnny Depp, Javier Bardem, and Russell Crowe and Tom Cruise, and all these actors are going to be in a franchise. They might cross paths every so often.
Well, like, I feel like Universal's having the DC problem where they're trying to make they're trying to set up an entire universe with one film, and that's not how you do it. The Marvel method is a very established, very well put together method. It's very simple to say the first Iron Man has little to nothing to do with the Avengers. We have S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, that's it. And we don't get a S.H.I.E.L.D. name drop until the very end, and it's a throwaway line. It's like, oh, no, just call it S.H.I.E.L.D. It's a throwaway line. And it's not until you could walk out of that movie when the end credits start and have no idea that the Avengers are going to be a thing. Because I'm pretty sure it doesn't even end by saying Iron Man will return in the Avengers. So, like, it just has Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm here to talk about the Avengers. And the movie could have bombed and ended there, but it still would have been a good movie on its own. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't, you're right, it wasn't until Iron Man 2. And even then, Marvel had to learn their lesson, too, of, like, you can't set up an entire universe in one movie, Marvel. You need to make good movies that happen to all connect together. The reason you can have... And if you do that, once you build to the crossover film, that's when you can start having your Phase 2 movies. Like, DC's trying to have a Phase 2 film in their Phase 1. They're trying to have, like, let's have Batman and Superman together in a movie. You can do that after Justice League. Just give us, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if they started Thor with him and Hulk being together, people are like, wait, but we don't know who this Hulk is. But why we don't know who Thor is? Why be careful with the Hulk? You gotta build to it. Whatever.
Well, like, even in the 1920s, 30s, 40s with the Universal Monster films, they never actually crossed over until the early 1940s. Like, it was Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, which was the very first crossover, about 15 years after these films had already really started. What they used to do is that they used to have the same actors play the same roles in sequels. Sometimes they'd alternate, like, for example... Boris Karloff, who's normally Frankenstein's monster,
who I know as the voice in The Grinch.
Yes, exactly. Awesome.
Noise. Sorry, go ahead.
He played Dracula once or twice. And Bela Lugosi once played Frankenstein's monster, and Lon Chaney Jr. he played practically everything because he's the man with 1,000 faces. And then, like, the year after, they did House of Frankenstein, which had Frankenstein's monster, Wolfman, Dracula, Hunchback of Notre Dame, and then they would do these big elaborate crossovers, but this was years and years down the line. And if Universal just wanted to be like, okay, we've got a new wave of Universal monster films, they don't cross over, but they're in the same universe, we may have a few Easter eggs, I'd be fine with that. But they seem to be going full hog with this Avengers-style Monster Squad team-up,
like, if
with
you want to
no
have
sight to it.
If you want to have your movie, like, be like Tom Cruise, who in my version, here, movie maintenance, I got you. So let's have Tom Cruise play Van Helsing, and let's say that Van Helsing is going, this guy, who maybe not the name Van Helsing is a very dumb name, but he's a Van Helsing-esque character who's kind of going
Van
around.
Helsing was his granddad's name or something.
Yeah. And, like, he's trying to continue, maybe his grandfather, like, National Treasure, right? Maybe his grandfather is, like, maybe disgraced for thinking that monsters exist, but he still believes monsters exist, so he's going around looking for monster stuff. And in the process of awakening the mummy, if you want to still introduce the Russell Crowe shield monster thing, whatever, fine. But instead of being like, let me tell you about the world of monsters for 25 minutes or whatever happens in the movie, just, like, have him explain what's going on in this movie, and then you can, in the background, just have, like, I don't know, a vampire skull or something. Do they have a vampire? I imagine they have a vampire skull.
They do, and they have Creature of the Black Lagoon hand, like, in a jar.
Why? Why? Okay, sure, whatever. I don't know. Like,
it's weird because, like, the money is not up on screen, so the Prodigium headquarters, as far as we can tell, only consists of 3 small rooms. Even though it's meant to be this massive organisation, and we only see the holding cell room where the mummy is chained up and kept, Henry Jekyll's office, and a room where they just have a bunch of Easter eggs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, you have the main plot of the movie go, And then Tom Cruise can defeat the mummy or whatever, or have the mummy kind of be trapped in a room, whatever. Maybe do a Flash thing and keep all the monsters downstairs in your basement. I don't know. And then like at the end, Van Helsing's like, there are more monsters out there. And Russell Crowe's like, I know, but I have to keep track of these monsters over here. So where are you gonna go? He's like, and then like he can turn to the camera and be like, Transylvania, and put on some sunglasses.
Sunglasses. Yeah. And he needs to look directly into the camera.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like unabashed, like Transylvania. Put on some sunglasses, like an explosion and some CG dubs flying the screen, and then like he just gets out of the motorcycle and just drives off and fade to black, and it's like Tom Cruise will return. If you care. That's a sequel.
Tom Cruise will return if China pay enough money.
In the no, he turns to the camera and says, where are you going? China. And then he just walks out of frame and cuts to black.
Yeah, he rides off into the sunset.
You see the pan up to a sky shot, crane shot. You see the Great Wall of China in the background.
Yeah, Matt Damon's on the wall.
Like the end of 28 Weeks Later. Oh my god.
But it just feels like there's too much money involved in this, and it's not up on screen either. And the Mummy feels like it would, like the Mummy as a character feels like she would be the Loki style big threat that would unite the monsters together. Mm-hmm. Like because she's got these powers where she's like able to put curses on people, control people's minds, and she's physically really, really strong because she's done a deal with the devil.
Yeah, dude.
And also, there's one scene
where
where
you can bring her back. Like if you kill her off in this movie or whatever, you can bring her back and have her be like the Loki. Yeah, you're right, absolutely.
Yeah, and there's also one clever thing they do is that she calls upon like the sands of Egypt to basically destroy London. But because there's no sand in London, there's barely any sun in London. But what they do is that she breaks all of the glass in the city basically, and turns the glass into sand, and creates a sandstorm. Which I thought that is pretty clever. But it's only like a 2-minute sequence, and it's clearly like, oh, the budget ran out, so now we've got to go into a sewer. It's just, even though there's $125 million invested in this, it's not up on screen, and I think once again it just comes back to getting Alex Kurtzman, who is he's not even a particularly good writer, let alone a good director.
Yeah,
I'm kind of disappointed. I'm annoyed to like just rag on this movie because it's not terrible. It's like a 2-star film.
I bet it's terrible, Trilby. I bet you're just being nice.
There's terrible things in it, but it's also like this is where my soft, human, sentimental side shows. But my fiance loves the Universal monsters, and she's really excited about the Dark Universe stuff because she loves these characters and the iconography.
You know who is doing their universe pretty sweet right now?
Marvel.
Well, besides Marvel, you know who's aping off Marvel pretty well right now?
Terminator.
Legendary and their monster stuff. Because I'll tell you what, I really dug Kong Skull Island. I really dug Godzilla. And when it went to the end credits of Kong Skull Island and we heard the King Kong roar and the Godzilla roar together, I won't lie, I cried a little. I'm pretty excited for like that. That to me is a universe that's doing their job just fine in terms of like, you know why? Because they're doing like movies, like individual movies, and not commercials for a crossover.
Yeah, like I wasn't huge on Godzilla. I loved the Godzilla stuff, but the rest of it I just really did not enjoy. But the Godzilla is able to stand on its own better than like the Mummy does because Godzilla is focusing on the current story. It's not giving a teaser to 5 films in the future that they have yet to plan or even cast for. So I think that Kong Skull Island was definitely a step in the right direction.
I can't wait. Like you just see, like the creature of Black Lagoon's hand. You see like some vampire teeth, and you just see like the Bride of Frankenstein's hair.
Yeah, it's just a wig.
And it's like I gotta find someone's bride. And then you just
why is every tease with you just like a wink to the camera directly into the camera?
Because every time I imagine like he puts it on, you just hear yeah, like we're seeing sci-fi happening. There's like an explosion in the background, some doves fly, we fade to black and like dramatic music. I mean, that's how they're doing it all these days. Well, that's how DC's doing it.
But now I'm just imagining like Russell Crowe, who's clearly put on a bit of weight, which is kind of, and he's meant to be really physically imposing. But I think he's got like a dad beer belly, which I think is pretty funny.
He still has that nice guy physique.
He does, yeah. So what he does is that he just looks at, like, Tom Cruise is like, so where are we going? And he says, Notre Dame. Then puts on some glasses. And then Tom Cruise is just there going, it's Notre Dame. And then he just, like, hides out and just rips him apart.
Where are you going? Notre Dame.
Well, to do what? To see the opera. And then where? Let's go to the Black Lagoon.
It's like we gotta take a trip to where? Hunchback. I mean, Notre Dame.
Oh, God.
Surely,
to see some extraordinary gentlemen.
Invisible Man.
I know that's 20th Century Fox, but that's... The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is 20th Century Fox, even though it's public domain characters.
Surely, I kind of want them to keep going to see where this is going. It's like with the alien films, like keep pushing them out. Let us see how far this goes. Oh my god!
But yeah, the next Dark Universe film is in February 2019 with Bride of Frankenstein, directed by Bill Condon.
Yeah, I mean, you can still save this. It's not completely. This is still salvageable. Hell, Dracula, you can still connect to Dracula Untold if you want. I mean, if you really want,
you could.
That's your post-credit scene. It's Russell Crowe sitting in his office, and then
Gaston walks in.
Yeah, someone knocks at his door, and it's like, and he turns to he's like Dr. Jekyll, and then you can turn to Dracula and be like, Dracula, and it's like, I think the time we had a chat, and then you cut to black, and people are like, huh? Because no one saw Dracula Untold.
Anyway, it's fun to mock, but yeah,
I feel like someone wanted to leap off a building because of how terrible this movie did at first. But I don't know, they have a chance. This movie will be fun, I imagine.
I think it's going to make money to break even for Universe. It's going to make enough money to break evens, but they got to slash those budgets. They've got to plan ahead much better than they currently are.
I reckon. Well, because. So is Bride of Frankenstein, is this going to do Frankenstein, but it's a female? I mean, I know that's not the Bride of Frankenstein story. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
See, I don't know. Like, I think it's great that they're trying to have a much more, like, here's the feminist in me coming out, have a more female influence in the Universal Monsters films, because, like, Sofia Boutella as the Mummy, which is generally a male character, but it works, and it works really well. But I don't see how you do the Bride of Frankenstein without Frankenstein's monster, unless they're going to take the title very literally and Dr. Frankenstein creates a bride for himself.
Well, I mean, you could also just say, I don't know, like, I don't see why you can't just do call it Frankenstein and make Frankenstein a chick. Like, just do that. Like, that's way easier than saying this is the Bride of Frankenstein, because everyone's going to be like, where's the hair? That's everyone's going to be first
If you get the Bride of Frankenstein, that has name value.
Oh, yeah. But so does Frankenstein, doesn't it?
I guess. But there was Victor Frankenstein with Daniel Radcliffe and James McAvoy a few years ago.
Yes, there was. Yeah, but no one saw that, and who cares? You know, Max Landis, whatever. You know what I mean?
You know, Max Landis, whatever.
Whatever happened to Max Landis? Yeah, he couldn't keep his mouth shut, could he? Anyways, yeah.
So, yeah, I saw The Mummy. What of it?
Yeah. So, did we legitimately spend 30 minutes on The Mummy? I think.
I did. I saw. But yeah,
all right.
Hopefully, lessons are learned.
Anything else that you would like to talk about, Trilby?
I did see Pirates talk about like half an hour too long. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales.
You saw Pirates of the Caribbean. Johnny Depp is still trying.
Well, in the UK, it's called Salazar's Revenge. So I don't know, because it's really weird, because the line that is said before the opening titles,
they name dropped the title in the movie.
Because what happens? Yeah, have you seen it?
No, I have not. So.
Oh, okay. You're just really good at guessing this stuff. You're a sharp one, you are.
Well, I can only imagine.
But yeah, we've got Brenton Thwaites, who's like locked in a dungeon, and then Javier Bardem comes in and he's like, I'll leave you alive because Dead Men Tell No Tales. Then it pans up, and then it just says Pirates of the Caribbean, Salazar's Revenge. I was
that's pretty good.
Brits.
I like that. I'll leave you like as Dead Men Tell No Tales. And this is where, because this moment, he looks at the camera. He should have looked at the camera and been like, Dead Men Tell No Tales.
I thought you were going to say, he then looks at the camera and says, Notre Dame. I don't even know why this is funny.
He looks at the camera and says, Mad Hatter. He just fades out.
Yeah, what he does is like Salazar in the film. His calling card is basically he leaves one person alive at every shipwreck so that they can tell the tale. But another version is that he says, "Why have you leaving me alive?" Because then he just gives him a Joker playing card and then walks off.
It's like Brendan Thwaites was like, "I never said thank you," and Salazar's like, "You'll never have to." It just walks out of frame. And it's just
It's Javier Bardem, so it's like, "You'll never have to."
You'll never have to. As his flowing hair goes away. That man always has the best hair in these movies.
He does, and he looks awesome in the film, and he's really going like full on pantomime villain. Whereas like it's weird seeing him act alongside Jeffrey Rush because Jeffrey Rush, every frame of this film is just Jeffrey Rush going, "I'm too old for this shit."
Yeah, well, Jeffrey Rush, I mean, he always manages to find his way and be great in every single one of these. Like, in my opinion, there are only two good Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and it's the first movie, and then it's the second half of the other two, and then I've never finished on Stranger Tides. I'd imagine Blackbeard dies. I never finished it, so I wouldn't tell you.
I saw On Stranger Tides opening weekend when it came out in 2000.
Oh, you were part of the $1 billion problem.
I was, but here's the thing, that film made $1 billion. Mm-hmm. No one talks about it, and I cannot remember a single thing about it other than
Avatar made
Blackbeard.
Avatar made $3 billion, and no one mentions the Na'vi ever.
That is true.
No one knows what the Na'vi or Jake Sully or Natiri or Stephen Lang's character are. I only know that because I happened to watch it yesterday.
I only know that Sam Worthington's character was called Jake Sully because the Na'vi pronounce it strange. Jake Sully.
I feel like they did that to make sure people never forgot his name. Like, let's just have him say Jake Sully so that we never forget that this was his name. Well, I'll tell you what, yeah. That's the only... That reminds me of a Kevin Smith podcast I was listening to.
It worked on me, though. Although Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales, I only saw it this afternoon. I cannot even begin to regurgitate the plot because there was too much of it, and yet I was so disinterested in it. I don't feel like it was like on Stranger Tides where it seemed to be actively insulting my intelligence every single step. But there's practically nothing to this. Like if you think like back to The Curse of the Black Pearl, which was like 15 years ago,
Jesus.
like there's 13. So many of those.
12.
2003.
Oh, you know what? I'm not good at math, Chilby. 14, you're right.
Math! Algorithms! Math!
Stop it. I'm terrified.
Have you not seen Age of Extinction? When Stanley Tucci basically just hits a board and goes, Math! Algorithms!
That's right, he does. Speaking of seeing movies opening weekend, I went Thursday night to that. I may be going Thursday night to the next one, because why not?
Yeah, you entered the theatre on Thursday night, and then you came out on Sunday morning, because it's so friggin' long.
I came out a week later, and I was like, man, that movie was long. This one's only 2 hours and 29 minutes.
But you go back to Curse of the Black Pearl, and there are so many action scenes in there that are just informed by character, and there's so many great character beats in there. Like even the sword fight between Jack and Will in the barn. It's such a great sequence, and you also get
Dead Man's Chest is a relatively good movie. I mean, just
which one's that? Sorry,
that's the second one with the wheel and the ball, and they go to the island, and they're after J.B. Jones's heart. I think that's a relatively good movie. I think it gets better as it goes along. But you were saying something.
Yeah, but then you fast forward to Dead Men Tell No Tales, and there's an opening sequence with Jack Sparrow, and it's a 10-minute long sequence which basically rips off Fury, which is the one with the dragon in the bank vault. Is that 5 or 6?
Do they really fast 5 this? You're kidding.
They do, but with like 6 horses not just pulling a bank vault, pulling a bank.
Okay, all right, guys. Okay.
Yeah, there's like 6 or 8 horses pulling literally a bank across this city.
Do you ever watch movies and like they just do something so ridiculous, but like in a bad way, where you kind of just say to yourself, awesome, sure, awesome.
The only awesome thing in this film that I've thought this cannot possibly be a bad film because it has this in it is the zombie sharks, but they're only on screen for like a minute.
There's zombie sharks.
Yeah, there's because Jack and Brendan Thwaites' character, who is Orlando Bloom's son, they're on a rowboat trying to escape Javier Bardem as Salazar.
Can I make a guess as to who the girl is? Since they're apparently kids in the movie, is she Johnny Depp's kid?
Do you really want to know?
Yeah, yeah.
She is a kid of the main cast, but not Johnny Depp's kid.
Oh, okay. So they're like twins then. They're like Han and Leia. Then they're like brother and sister.
Basically, they're like proto Will and Elizabeth.
Okay, so then whose kid is she?
Spoiler warning for the next, like, you know on iPhones where you've got like that 50-second fast forward thing?
Yeah.
If you are
Surely,
dead set
it's been
on...
out for like a month.
This is for listeners who might just want to see it, but use that function now. She is Barbossa's kid.
Is she really?
She is. And they actually, that's not a bad resolution in terms of how that plays out, but it's still sort of like, oh, I guess... kind of like Rey in Force Awakens. Oh, she, of course, is someone's kid or whatever.
I think I just figured out the entire plot of this movie.
But there's so much coincidence revolving around how these characters meet, and then it turns out that they're all related to another, and it's just one coincidence too many. But in terms of the film itself, there's just so many action set pieces that are kind of... The money is up on screen. This is a $230 million Disney Jerry Bruckheimer blockbuster. The money is there.
That's the production budget is $230 million?
Well, for the most part, they do film out at sea and on like these massive, practically created ships.
That's $450 million?
That's half made its money back.
Has it? How much money has it made?
$608 million.
Has it really? How the hell? That thing's gonna... How? Wow,
because
China?
Pirates of the Caribbean, the search for more money, and they found it.
Wow, okay. So,
It's making a lot less than on Stranger Tides, but it's still enough to make it profitable.
I wonder how much it's made here. I'm going to look it up while
domestically?
Yeah, look that up over here.
Yeah, if you want to look that up. But, it's such a nothing film. It's not about anything. Like, there's nothing thematically interesting going on other than the entire cast are related to each other. So apparently family. But I'm not saying that I'm wanting profound, avant-garde, really strong moralizing blockbusters.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not expecting any of that. It's bloody Pirates of the Caribbean, but I'm just expecting some emotional hook here, and there's just none present. Like, there's just these massive set pieces that, they look alright, and the special effects are good, but I'm not involved in it. I'm not invested in it. Johnny Depp is just coasting through this role, despite making God knows how much money here. The proto Orlando
the mummy
Knightley.
drops the mummy just dropped 70% at the box office.
Is that on the Friday? Yeah.
Woo! I believe so. My God.
Let's see how it does come Monday morning. But yeah, if it follows that trajectory, it's bad.
That is abysmal. All right.
Yeah, but
143 here is what it's done domestically, which is that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's kind of like Transformers, where they're making a lot of money internationally, but its domestic total has just been dropping, at least since the third one, as far as I can tell off the top of my head. But like we've got some interesting directors here. We've got Joachim Ronning, who did Kon-Tiki, which is this really weird seafaring historical film. About like a 1940s expedition, and it's like, okay, so it makes sense for them to do a pirates film, but it's not really distinguishable from like the Gore Verbinski aesthetic. It just feels like, okay, you did something at sea, do Pirates of the Caribbean, whatever.
Well, what I did notice, and I don't mean to keep cutting you off here, but what I do notice is that with the first three, they have a very specific look. I mean, at least looking at them cinematography wise, they look a lot better than the fourth one does. I'm not sure that's because they were shot on film versus digital, but they look so much better. The fourth one just looks really flat and looks very bland in terms of like the colors and how it's shot, even though they're all shot in like Hawaii, on the ocean. So like my question is, how does this film look like color palette wise? Is it at least nice to look at?
There's a couple of sequences where it's way too dark to make stuff out. Damn it. Like there's some cool shots that look awesome in the trailer, but then when you watch them in the film, they seem to have been darkened up to like reflect mood, or there's some fog effects and stuff. But the reason you don't really remember anything from Pirates on Stranger Tides visually is because it was directed by Rob Marshall, who's done Chicago and literally nothing else of note. Right. And I love Chicago. I don't. And he's doing Mary Poppins Returns, so... But
can't wait to watch that Hamilton crossover. So fun. Kids are gonna love that. Kids love Mary Poppins. They like more Hamilton. Let's put Hamilton everything.
But yeah, when you've got Disney involved and you've got a $230 million budget, it's going to look good, and it does look good. And there's some really striking moments, like they find a small island that's basically just made of diamonds, and when you look at it from the right angle, it resembles the constellations in the sky, and it looks gorgeous.
That's
it looks
a cool
great.
idea.
It is. It's just, I guess, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, this looks gorgeous. I just wish I cared.
I do know what the post-credit scene is, because I looked it up.
The posters are saying it's the final adventure, and the TV spots are like, it's the final adventure. But then the post-credit scene actually hints at some...
I'll tell you what, Trilby, and we won't give anything away. If we're trepidation about spoilers, I know what the post-credit scene is, and I'll be completely honest with you. I'll see the next one, because if that's what the post-credit scene is, I'm back for the next one, because they've got me.
Because the World's End Pirates film ended the trilogy on kind of a brave note in terms of how it treated Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley's character, Will and Elizabeth Turner.
The tragedy of it, yeah.
But then Dead Men Tell No Tales kind of goes against that and essentially retcons the series. But if it is retconning the series and it's going to that status quo that the post-credit scene suggests, I will gladly see Pirates of the Caribbean 6.
Yeah.
More money, please. We need the booty.
I'm down. Trilby, let's go together. I got you. I'll fly to London. Let's go.
I was going to say, I'd fly over.
I'll take a world round trip to London. I'll pick up Bandit along the way, and they'll all fly to London and go to the premiere. I got you.
But it just feels so, like, I don't hate the film. I'm just really indifferent to it. But it's weird that you get such a great looking film where, like, the money is up on screen. You've got this great cast on paper, but it just feels like there's just no creative energy behind the Enterprise. And then when you go, because I stuck through the credits because I knew there was a post-credit scene.
Because they all have them, yeah.
And you stick through the credits of Dead Men Tell No Tales,
which
and it's
lasts
like
18 minutes.
It lasts 18 minutes because half of them are basically thank you to the country of New Zealand and the New Zealand Tax Board, and filming in London and the London Tax Board estate, and it's like, okay, so this is why you made the film, because it's $230 million, but it probably cost you a nickel because so much of it was tax breaks. I think I know why this movie exists now.
But you know what? Honestly, though, 90% of the credits these days tend to be visual effects guys, don't they? It's like, this visual effects team, like 18 different visual effects companies, each taking up 3 slides of credits. You're like, oh my god.
And from this film, all very talented guys. And I think the cast member who comes out the best here is Ko Scodelario, who I was looking up her filmography and found out that she's married to Benjamin Walker. And for those of you who don't know, Abraham Lincoln from Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
What a relevant fact.
I know. Well, it's about these guys fighting the undead in a historical setting, so it all makes sense.
Newsflash, Cinema Blend, Chilby racist brings up Abraham Lincoln when it has nothing to do with the subject. Racism. Chilby hates black people, Sue.
Hashtag don't care. See, it works if we put a hashtag in front of it. But and she plays this character who's an astrologist, but because she's a woman who speaks the truth and knows about science and is knowledgeable about stuff, she's immediately perceived as a witch who needs to be hung or killed or burnt. So basically, it's 2017 Twitter, and I think that's an interesting way to take the franchise.
Yeah. Unless your name is J.K. Rowling, you're not allowed to be opinionated on Twitter if you're a female, because unless you're J.K. Rowling, they will come and attack you.
Exactly. Oh, you need to look at Jessica Chastain's Twitter, because so much burn.
What has she done? What'd she do this time?
No, as in she's just always like slapping people down for being dicks on Twitter.
Oh, atta girl.
Particularly Trump. She seems to like have a response to everything he says on Twitter.
Meryl Streep is just so untalented, isn't she?
But yeah, her character seems like she'd be interesting in future sequels, but here she mainly exists to roll her eyes at the dumb pirates, and she always ends up being bested by their tomfoolery and stuff like that. And you're damn right they just get 10 minutes of dialogue out of her being a horologist. God, it's.
I bet. Hold on, wait a minute. So let me guess. Everyone's standing on like a dock or like a ship or something, and they're like, "What do you do?" And she's like, "I'm a horologist," and they're all just like, "Oh, you're a what?" And she's like, "A horologist," and you're like, and everyone's like, "Oh, me, I was a horror." Is that pretty much?
Yeah. And then 10 minutes of dialogue ensues. It's essentially Carry On Pirates. Wow. It doesn't. Yeah, the dialogue is just not.
Who's this
not
movie
good.
made? Who's this movie made for? Was this a kids movie? They're family friendly.
There's a lot of death. I don't think it's for kids. I think it's for people who... No, every Pirates film since the first one has been made for one specific audience. People who liked the first one and want to watch that again.
Yeah, essentially. People who are like, can we get another good Pirates movie? Though I know people that like all of these movies.
Well,
So.
I think 2 and 3 have... there's more good in them than bad, I think.
Yeah.
But they're all of these films, all of them, without exception, even the first one, are about 30 to 40 minutes too long.
I give you that. Well, that's Gore Verbinski for you. If one's like an 8, then two's like a 7.5, I think, and then 3's like a 6. 3 really. That second half, what are they doing? All right. And then there's Johnny Depp with all the crabs, and it's just like 18 Johnny Depps, and like what are they all doing? And one of them's like, it's disgusting. Anyways,
but I can't quite think of another franchise that's coasting so much on one good successful entry. Like the Transformers was terrible from the beginning, but they still make $1 billion.
I disagree, Trilby. I like the first Transformers.
Garbage.
I will fight you on that for days. All right,
Garbage.
We will fight that forever. Transformers was once a good movie, and I'll stick to that.
I challenge you to pistols at dawn.
Absolutely. Only
Actually,
if I can burr it and cheat and kill you first.
There is one like legitimately inspired set piece, and that Jack Sparrow's about to be executed on a new invention called the guillotine, and he gets freed by his pirate.
Trilby.
Sorry, guillotine.
Pronounce those double L's. Anyways.
Oh, the L is silent. Which one? Both of them. He's about to be executed on a guillotine, and then his pirate comrades come and break him free. But he's still attached to the guillotine as he's like circling around this pole. He's still attached, and as it's looping around and around and around, the guillotine blade is reacting to the gravity and still going up and down and nearly cutting off his head every time he's right side up. It's actually a pretty clever set piece. But apart from that, there's nothing here. There's nothing that reaches almost anything that the first one did, even though Javier Bardem is really hamming it up and clearly having a fun time.
What are they after?
Revenge.
Okay, like there's no I know there was like the last one was like the Fountain of Youth, and there was like the Heart.
They're after the Trident of Poseidon.
Okay, awesome. Sure, whatever.
Well, actually, Pirates of the Caribbean is similar to the Transformers films, where they are after a MacGuffin.
Yeah,
and
they need to get a thing to stop these bad pirates from doing.
We need to get the Matrix. We need to get the cube.
We need to get the pillars.
The pillars.
We need to get the seed. That was really unsubtle on that one.
Yeah.
I like Transformers 3 as well. Fight me.
I like the last hour of Transformers 3.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can get behind that. I like the first hour of 4. I don't know. I feel like I'm the only person on planet Earth, but I like the first hour of 4. Too bad there's another hour and 45 after that. Unbelievable. That movie should be an hour 45. Jesus, Trilby.
Yeah, I know. You'd think they want to make the Transformers films shorter so that they're not spending so much money on them, and they can get more screenings in them per day.
No, well, I mean they keep making $1 billion, so man, I don't know.
But see, Paramount, Michael Bay, if you made good short films, you could make $3 billion.
If you made a good 90-minute Transformers movie, you know how much money that would make? Minions is like 87 minutes. And it beat you, so...
You know what I find amazing? Transformers Age of Extinction made more money than Batman v Superman. Yeah. It's a weird world we live in.
It's an odd world. I feel like people just don't excuse Transformers. Transformers is that odd thing that unless this one bombs, this is absolute proof that there is no excuse.
There is no God.
Then there is no... Yeah, there's no God. There's no movie God protecting the art of cinema anymore. That cinema is dead.
If the director of Kubo and the Two Strings can't make Bumblebee good...
he is doing... Travis Knight is doing... Alright, right on. I mean, that's a chance. We have a chance then. Apparently this is Michael Bay's last movie, just like the last two were. So... Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is Mark Wahlberg's last movie, apparently. Which I'm like, how bad was your experience? Unless he dies in it, but how bad was your experience?
I actually didn't know Wahlberg was in the film until like the trailers started coming out.
Really?
I thought he'd like abandoned the franchise.
Well, he's busy doing Daddy's Home too, which looks funny. Mel Gibson and John Lithgow.
I've yet to see the trailer.
Yeah, it's like it's essentially the first movie, except they're with their dads, and it looks really funny. Mel Gibson, John Lithgow.
Oh, John Lithgow is
Will Ferrell's dad, and it's like it's exactly what you would expect. It looks really funny though. So the first one had a lot of heart to it. I like that one. So I
hope John Cena comes back.
That's right. And Mel Gibson. It's nice to see him in movies again. So there it is. He plays Mark Wahlberg's dad, which seems pretty fun. Okay. Did you see anything else, or should I talk about my thing here?
I saw Churchill, but it's a small release film. It's not coming out anywhere outside the UK for now. At least I don't think so. It's Brian Cox as Winston Churchill, and it's pretty good actually. It takes place a couple of in the 2 to 3 days before the D-Day Normandy landings, and just shows Winston Churchill towards the end of the war. It was a really good performance from Brian Cox, because not much more to report on it. It feels like like the UK's answer to Steven Spielberg's Lincoln, in which it takes someone who's really well known in terms of their what their contributions to history were, and the iconography and their persona, but it kind of breaks them down and shows what they were like behind closed doors. Like, for example, Abraham Lincoln, even though he's Honest Abe, he lied a lot. He is not an honest man, but that's kind of why Lincoln works in terms of breaking down that historical figure. And Churchill does something similar, but it's pretty good. I recommend it for the most part. It just feels a bit TV movie-ish.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be a problem. All right.
Yeah, that's what happens when you make a British film. The money's not there.
Okay, alright, well, then I should probably talk about, I saw this little independent film. I've been kind of an independent movie streak. It's been held on the indie scene as kind of a classic. It came out a couple months ago. This really unknown guy, his name's John Carpenter, and he made this movie a couple months ago called The Thing, I think it's what it's called. And
so I thought you were going to be like, independent film, saw it a few months ago. You may not have heard of it. It was Star Wars Rogue One. I thought you were going to really play out the joke.
Called Marvel's The Avengers. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of it. Yeah, no.
Age of Ultron. Extinction. Notre Dame.
Where are we going? Civil War. Boom. You just hear the Marvel fanfare playing in the background. Alex Vestry's Avengers theme starts playing.
No, it's the Michael Giacchino Spider-Man theme.
You see a giant Sony logo in the background.
Can you imagine, sorry to cut you off, but imagine in Civil War where, who is it who's talking to Tony before he goes and meets Spider-Man? He's like, so what are you going to do? I know a guy. And then instead of cutting to Queens, it cuts to Notre Dame.
That's what it's gonna be like in the movie. It's gonna be Russell Crowe's gonna be like, "Where's your guy? Transylvania. Where's your guy?" And it just cuts to a title card of the Notre Dame, and you're just like, everything's like, "Oh, so it's that guy." On a side note, that Queen transition was pretty sweet. That's a great reveal. I feel like the only reason we had those title cards, huh?
But then during the airport fight, Tony Stark's like, "Okay, I've run out of patience. Underoos!" And then Quasimodo leaps in.
Quasimodo's stammers in, staggers in, just has lips his way into frame.
Or he's like, okay, run out of patience. Black Lagoon, and then
all of a sudden, this slimy, gross fish man who's kind of falls out.
He just falls from the sky, and he's like, God, there's no water around here.
He falls on Captain America's shield. Cap's like, what the hell? Oh, Jesus. Oh, my cheeks hurt.
Mine too. But he comes in Quasimodo. He tries to flip in, but because he's like the guy from 300, like the deformed Spartan warrior, he tries to take his shield off him. He's like, give it here. No. And these two just wrestle for the shield.
He lands on that crate that falls back, and you just hear, damn it! Like the hunchback from 300.
And then you just imagine Ant-Man becomes Giant Man, and Quasimodo is like, holy shit!
Like, I'm gonna go. I'm the Hawkeye here, and Hawkeye's here.
Oh, and then Tony Stark's like, oh, Hawkeye, we've got him too, and it's the Phantom of the Opera.
He's just sitting in the corner, cowering in fear. Like,
He drops the chandelier down.
Oh my god! You just hear like a thud as he faints over because he sees Vision for the first time. He's like, "What is going on?" Oh my god!
And then Russell Crowe comes to Black Panther and he's like, "Come join Prodigium," and he's like, "I don't care.
I don't care." Ant-Man flies around and gets hit by a giant bat.
A bat fist.
A bat fist. Vision tries flying in and then Dracula stops him. This just became awesome. There's a great Robot Chicken sketch where it's like Godzilla's like rampaging in the world. Like, how are we gonna stop him? And it's cuts to like Jason Voorhees on the street, and it's like Jason Voorhees, and they like jump at each other, and the guy's narrates like, I'd actually see this.
Anyway, you're talking about The Thing.
Oh yeah, but
I'm so sorry for that tangent.
Oh, I mean, it's all owned by Disney, isn't it? Did you recently hear that Apple wants to buy Disney? By the way, I don't know if you heard that story.
That should hopefully that does not happen because monopolies are not good.
What about talk about you think the Apple iPhones are expensive now? The Disney tickets this went from $75 to $2,000. Oh my god. On the other hand, the special effects would be even better. Yeah, but I saw John Carpenter's The Thing. The reason we probably started late today is because I was watching The Thing. And if you guys don't know, it's a film from 1982 by John Carpenter, who's made one of my awesome favorite movies, Halloween. Stars Kurt Russell and a few others, and it's about this alien ship crash lands. And crash lands gets stuck in the ice, and once it's dug out by some Norwegian guys, it gets loose, and shenanigans happen, and this American crew in the Antarctic have to kind of survive and figure out who the monster is, because the monster can take the form of anybody as long as it gets its hands on them. It can kind of assimilate on the cellular level. And so they have to figure it out of who it is, and it's just kind of very, very tense, more or less a whodunit story. But the whodunit is always changing, and so the numbers are kind of dwindling down. You feel like, for all you know, it could be the guy next to you. I want to go full spoilers, but before I do that, I will say, hold on, give me a second. I had to spit something out. Excuse me. If you have not seen John Carpenter's The Thing, you need to watch John Carpenter's The Thing, because I know maybe as a millennial, I understand the concept of, but everyone says it's so great, but I don't think it's going to be great because I'm a millennial and I don't want old movies to be great. Guys, it's fantastic. It is a truly incredible flick, and I was tense and freaking out. I know what happens, and I was because I grew up in the time where The Thing is a part of pop culture, but it is a really, really strong, put together, and incredible flick, and I think I recommend everybody go out and check it out. It's like a 9.5. I really dug it. It's a little slow at start, but that's just to build up the tension. I've never been so creeped out by a dog. But that being said, from that point on, full spoilers. There's never been when he's like, there's a scene where they're trying to figure out who The Thing is, and so they're testing everyone's blood, and yeah,
one of the best jump scares.
That's what I'm building, right? And the tension's building. It's like, and you keep cutting to all the guys of who it's possibly going to be, right? And you're like, and you're convinced it's this doctor, and the guy's like, you're right, Doc. That's why I saved you. And then suddenly Kurt Russell, because the way the Thing's blood reacts is because the blood doesn't want to, the creature's always on the defensive. They doesn't want this hot needle touching its blood, because it would try to retaliate against the person attacking it. And so everyone else's blood kind of steams against the hot pipe. But then Kurt Russell has one of the petri dishes, loud banging in the room next door, petri dishes, and he kind of sticks it towards it, and then the Thing just kind of latches out and jumps away, and it's one of the and then the guy starts freaking out next to one of the guys, and everyone's like, cut us loose, and they just burn the it's so good. So good.
And it's amazing that the Thing, it's one of those films that has been completely reevaluated in the recent decades, because when this came out, it was a box office bomb. It completely commercially failed. because it came out a couple of weeks after E.T., which was like just tearing up the box office, and it was a much happier
That's
outlook
a good
on what
year for
aliens
movies.
were.
Actually, well, I didn't love E.T., and I think Blade Runner was okay, but 1982.
Well, this came out the same day as Blade Runner.
Oh, that's a good weekend of the movies.
It is a good weekend, but not if you're The Thing, because no one goes to see The Thing.
Yeah.
And it got really bad reviews. Critics were saying, "Oh, it's just gore. There's nothing else. It's just gruesomeness." But in recent decades, it's been reevaluated because it's not just a gory film. Like, the gore is there, and it is plentiful, and
it's a masterclass of
extraordinary.
tension. It
is.
Yeah. It's a
paranoia thriller.
But I think
it is a whodunit.
I think that the reason time was on its side is because in an age where movies back then and sci-fi back then were kind of just barely evolving to become what we're kind of known as modern blockbusters today. Like, the movie came out, 5 years after Jaws? 5, 6, 7 years after Jaws? Like, in sci-fi back then, up until Star Wars, sci-fi was still very plotting, and sci-fi horror was, sci-fi horror was essentially just Alien. So I can imagine that people getting a movie that for at the time, I can imagine be very fast-paced, especially for sci-fi horror, being very kind of, oh, it's a movie about regular people swearing at each other and then thinking each other's the bad guy, and then eventually getting torn apart. I think it's the reason a movie like people always like to use the excuse of, oh, in 10 years people are going to love this really terrible movie. I think it's because people don't understand that the reason movies become when people say movies are ahead of their time, it means that movies will be looked at 10 years down the line and say that, oh, the movie wasn't ready to be loved by the world. Yeah, I think that's that more or less is what they're trying, not because the movie's bad and people are just going to think it's good in 10 years. There's just, it's a different way if we look at movies. Like, Batman v Superman is not going to be looked at in 10 years as a staple of modern cinema, because it's not a staple of modern cinema. It's not, unlike The Thing, you know what I'm trying. You see what I'm trying to get at here, Trilby.
Yeah. Like, just because like a film makes $1 billion doesn't mean it has cultural impact. Like, just ask
Avatar,
like Avatar, or like even like Jurassic World. Like we like that film made $1.5 billion not because of its own merits, but because of the legacy that Jurassic Park had. Sorry.
Quick side note. We'll get back to The Thing in a second. Did you hear that they're thinking about removing Colin Trevorrow from Episode 9?
I don't think that's. I think people are saying that maybe he should, but I don't believe they're actually saying that there are actual talks happening. I think Disney,
I don't care. I think that's a brilliant idea if they do.
Have you seen Book of Henry?
No.
Because I have not seen it, but I posted a response in your Facebook thing talking about the article. And
I did watch a video on the Book of Henry. That video you put in my Facebook page. I'm already subscribed to that guy, and so I saw that video the night before. The film doesn't come out until next Friday in the UK, but I am seeing that thing opening day. Yeah, I don't know. The world's finally wising up, and I think that people need to start understanding that just because a movie is pretty good, that shouldn't be the guy that gets to make Star Wars. It's Star Wars is such a precious rarity. And I think, and especially considering the fact that it's a trilogy film, and they're not going to do a trilogy again right after Episode 9. This is kind of closing out the kind of saga that George Lucas started when he was going to start making the sequels. We can't give that movie the culmination. The guy responsible for Carrie Fisher, for handling the Carrie Fisher situation, we can't give it to a guy that's most prolific film was one that was okay. You know what I'm saying? And I can't get behind that. Give it to like a Brad Bird or Jon Favreau, someone with actual pedigree. Patty Jenkins, she'll do a far better job with it than.
Yeah, well, I kind of felt the same with J.J. Abrams. Like, I think J.J. Abrams, like before Force Awakens, his most notable trait as a filmmaker was being able to imitate Steven Spielberg.
I think the first Star Trek is incredible. I think his first Star Trek film is really good.
I think it's meh. I think it's alright.
Well, that's your opinion, Chili, even if it's wrong.
The franchise got great with Star Trek Beyond, and that's the one that made the least money, which makes me very, very sad. But as The Thing teaches us, just because something didn't make a lot of money doesn't mean it's incredible.
Oh yeah, no, people are going to look back at Star Trek Beyond and realize that there was a mistake that they didn't see that in the theater. Because I saw that twice, and it was... gonna be.
That sabotage sequence.
Is that
ballsy thing
classical?
ever.
Why, yes, it is.
Anyway, the thing. Speaking of classical music, if you've watched The Hateful Eight, Tarantino's film, the score was done by Ennio Morricone, who took many of his cues from the score he did for The Thing.
Yeah,
same composer.
That Thing score, because like you watched I heard the first 2 minutes of Jurassic Park, because Jurassic Park opens with the dong, and then the that John Williams classic, and then but you watch The Thing, and spoilers, of course, but every time it's great because every time you realize the thing's near, it's like a whoa, whoa, boom, 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 whoa, whoa, and that score is so good. Like the first time you ever hear it is the first time you see a thing, which is that dog, and I suppose we should talk about the practical effects in the movie, and just how incredible and still horrifically disgusting they are 30 years later.
Like there's a great video from the guys over at Cinefix who do a.
I love those guys.
They've got a series called The Art of the Scene.
I specifically didn't watch their Art of the Scene on The Thing because I wanted to watch The Thing.
Yeah, the defibrillator chest chomp scene.
Yeah.
They've done a great video. They talk about that
perfect.
scene. Yeah, they talk about that scene, but also just about the practical effects of The Thing in general. It was so ahead of its time, and because it's practical, it just holds up so well. And because John Carpenter is a guy he's just great when he's dealing with practical effects, so he's able to shoot it amazingly. And there's just so many elements coming together for that.
Yeah, I mean,
he
made one of the best movies ever, in my opinion, on a pack of gum and some toothpaste. And that's the Halloween was essentially an independent movie, and it was. He turned into this, and again another masterclass of tension. And what makes that scene so great is that and I feel like watching all the movies I love now, I can see ape so much off of what they clearly saw when they were kids. The kind of two things happening at once in a scene, the way that they use Kurt Russell becoming the guy that you think is the thing to distract you from the fact that this guy, and I had seen that shot up to the defibrillator opening up because it's iconic at this point. So I knew that I didn't realize. It's like when you watch Star Wars for the first time and you forget that scene that I'm your father is about to happen until 3 seconds before it does. It's happening and I'm like, man, what is going on? Man, this is getting really crazy, man. What is this? And then he goes, Claire. I'm like, oh wait. And then it goes, the arms open up and I jumped out of myself like, oh snap, that's right. This is the part where he was. Oh my god, he just lost his arms. Oh my god. And then
it's edited incredibly well, and the guy he backs away from the body while his arms are being eaten by the thing, and he's got no arms because it's a stunt double who they've got a I can't remember the actor's name, but they've got a face mask on the stunt double who is a double amputee.
Dude, that's
he's able
rad.
It's rad. It's so many great elements coming together, and just it's a perfect storm of practical effects that really hold up. And if you buy I think it's on almost any edition of the DVD. There's a documentary called Terror Takes Shape, and it's got all of the great behind-the-scenes footage, including talking about a happy ending for the film, where while they still had Kurt Russell on set, they filmed a happy ending, which where it turns out that he still has the equipment to do a blood test. They test each other, they're both still human, and they walk away happy. And they did that just as an insurance that they never really wanted to put at the end. They wanted the bleak ending, because we talked about this 2 years ago or a year and a half ago on the Ambiguous Movie Endings podcast.
Oh yeah, that was last year. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and I actually remember because it was the week I moved into the flat, so we had no internet, so I had to go to my friends and record it. And the reason that the ambiguous ending works so well is because it doesn't matter if either of them are the thing or if they're both human or whatever, because they're both going to die in the snow. It doesn't matter what it is because they've both resigned themselves to this fate.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter because no matter where they are, which one, no matter if they're both the thing, whether not which they're the thing or not, the thing is, if it's still alive, it's still going to freeze and be found later. And I think that so it still has the potential to get out there and be found. I think that they set that up great of how why we can't just kind of leave. It's because if someone else finds it, then it'll continue to spread and it can take over the entire world easily. And you see how big it can get. How quickly it got so massive, and And you're right. It is incredibly big. Of like, even if neither of them are the thing, then they freeze to death, which I think is a somewhat happy ending. You know, it's like, oh, we killed the monster. Oh well, we died, but the monster died. But if one of them is the thing, then the world just ended. Essentially, is what the movie's telling you, which I love because also, he's the black guy, Keith David's the thing, right? That's what they're implying. He's not breathing. That's weird, right? Unless he's like, he's not breathing.
Who knows? Nobody knows.
Hold on. Give me a second.
It's the thing.
Sorry, Grandma.
We're leaving.
Okay.
I'm gonna open your door.
Okay. All right.
It was the thing. It took you.
Pause at 156. All right, let's continue. Yeah, but it's a masterclass of tension and just everything about it is so it's so weird watching all these old movies and being like, I know exactly what's gonna happen here, and here, and yet I could not be more excited watching it. I guess that's what makes the movie so great. That thing is a truly exceptional movie. I really like it.
And Kurt Russell looks amazing, basically playing a live-action Mufasa with that haircut.
And you know what? And Trilby, you know what? The more I think about it, I think that Kurt Russell was CG in Guardians. I think that was damn good CG. I don't know. I feel like I don't know if they came out and said that it was makeup. I don't think it was makeup.
I think it was a combination, similar to how they aged up Haley Atwell and Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That didn't look as good as Kurt Russell. But to be fair, that was 33 years prior. No, but overall I don't know what else to say that hasn't been said already. There's so many great moments. A lot of good, taking other things from Alien, a lot of good character beats. You know, lots of good moments of just people talking and essentially being themselves. And you can tell that the movie doesn't, with the exception of the titular thing, there's no secondary villain of, you know, they kind of have, I think his name's Blair, the scientist character that's like, oh, he's clearly going to be the guy that goes crazy and tries to kill everybody, but
Wilford Brimley.
Yeah, they can diabetes. But they got rid of that. I know him as that guy. I don't know him as the guy from the thing. I didn't know he was an actor, so there it is. I thought he was like a politician or something. I honestly had no idea who Wilford Brimley was.
Fair enough.
And then I saw him in the credits. I was like, "Wait, the diabetes guy's in this movie?" That was a genuine surprise. British took my eggs.
But it absolutely holds the test of time, and even the poster is
so
one of
good.
the most iconic posters ever made.
Good, yeah. You can. Oh, it's in the Bloody Mist. When you watch The Mist, it's right there in the background. The poster for the thing.
But there's one thing that needs to be remembered though with the thing is that it is actually a remake. It's based off The Thing from Another World, which I've yet to see. Yeah. But like that film was based off Who Goes There, which
it was right there next to the option for the 1982 Thing when you Google certain things. It was that there were 3 versions of the Thing I could have watched totally legally, and I decided to watch the one from the 80s.
But there was the 2011 remake where they say it's a prequel, but basically because the Thing remake it takes place on the Norwegian the Norwegian base where the dog is running away from at the beginning of the Thing.
That fucking dog. God.
However,
I knew it. I didn't know the dog was the Thing, but I knew for a fact that dog was the Thing, if that makes any sense. I'm like, there's no way.
That doesn't make sense.
Well, because
they're two conflicting things.
I didn't know, because I'd never seen the movie. I'm like, my movie watching brain's like, okay, he's clearly the Thing because they have the theme playing over the dog and he's running to the base. He must be the one that kicks it all off. But at the same time, I didn't know, because I had never seen the movie, so I didn't know that he was actually the Thing. But I was like, there's clearly shooting the dog for a reason, And, like, I didn't know this when the dog splits its head open and, like, this tentacle thing pops out, I paused it and walked away because I couldn't handle it, Trilby. It was very creepy. He started killing the dogs, Trilby. He, like, ate the dogs like a spider. It was disgusting.
And then the way the dogs are cowering.
Yes, but I love how when the door closes, they all immediately know. And I think that's incredible. Like, the dog's like, like, they all, like, you came to the wrong neighborhood. And then just attacks them. It's great. We were saying something, Trilby.
But yeah, the Thing remake / prequel is it's part of the Norwegian base where the dog came from.
Yeah.
But if you were to watch the Thing prequel and then the Thing, because it's meant to be a prequel, and then the Thing takes place immediately afterwards, the John Carpenter one. But it's basically saying, okay, if you watch it in that order, the exact same events took place twice in a row. It is basically it's a remake, except half of the cast have Norwegian accents.
Isn't it in that movie that was like, oh, they filmed with practical effects, but then they CG'd over everything? Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. There's so many videos about this on YouTube, and some great demo reels and just test footage of these incredible practical effects that rival the John Carpenter film one. Like, it's some great stuff, but then they filmed it with all of these great practical effects, and then they just decide to CGI on top of it, and the CGI looks pants. Well, like, when you've got these practical effects from a low-budget film in the 80s, because running circles around this 2011 film, it's frankly embarrassing.
Well, practical effects nowadays can look... Like, there are some practical effects nowadays that look great. You know what I'm saying? I mean, say what you about Force Awakens, but when they use practical effects in the movie a lot. They use a lot of puppetry and stuff, and it looks incredible.
Mm-hmm. And Guardians of the Galaxy with its like practical makeup.
Yeah, all the Star Trek Beyond had some great use of practical effects and CG blending. Yeah. So practical effects, the one practical effect in Jurassic World looked fantastic. The one they decided to keep, the one they chose to keep in. God, could you imagine if they got actual raptors, like Colin? God damn it.
Colin, and then you just shake your fist to the sky.
I legitimately just shook my fist to the sky. I was so mad
Colin,
with power.
your safety's not guaranteed now.
You ever try going out without power? It's boring. No one listens to you.
But yeah, there have been so many post-mortems on the remake of the Thing, so you can just find them all online. But I do recommend that you watch like the test footage and the practical effects from the remake, because those people who did that work for the remake, they did a really great job, but none of it's up on screen.
Yeah, I've seen videos on the remake. And like I've seen some of the stuff you're talking about, like when the guy's like head was like with the way they kind of meshed the puppet with the two heads melding together, which you see in the original Thing, which I thought was nice. And so because I had seen that in the remake clip / demo reel of the puppets versus CG, and I was like, and I'm like, why would that be there? And then when he became the actual when it showed up in the original, I was like, hey, that's where that... Okay, sweet, all right. So it all kind of connected it for me, you know.
But yeah, watch the 82 version. I actually had an option to buy the Thing on DVD for like £5, and then there was a Thing and a Thing remake set for like £3, and I actively avoided the cheaper option. I actively avoided the bargain.
Good choice.
So yeah,
right. Well, that's...
I still need to watch A Thing from Another World though.
Yeah, well, there's some that 50s classic sci-fi. I still have to watch a lot of that. I've got a whole summer though, so Okay, so that's pretty much all I've got in terms of homework. All I watched pretty much this week was The Thing, which means, Shelby, I think it's time to get to listener questions.
Oh, I thought a feature presentation was going to be another 2 hours of tangents.
4-hour podcast. I remember we've put out a 3-hour podcast before. We've put out a couple 3-hour podcasts. You know what the number one most liked comment on all those podcasts are?
What?
Maybe 3 hours is too long.
Nah, no way.
Everyone always asks that. I'm like, well, people always clamor that they want more podcasts. We give them a 3-hour podcast until it's like, actually, it might be too long. So you know what? We can't please everybody. Forget it. Listener questions. I'll turn this car around, damn it.
I'll hit you with my ring hand.
There's a great picture of it's like a poster of The Incredibles 2, and it cuts to like Dash in the car. It's like, are we there yet? And then it's like a picture of Mr. Incredible with Disney's face. It's like, we will get there when we get there. The Incredibles 2 is out next year. All right, listener questions.
Excuse me, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Alright guys, this is the listener question portion of the show because we answer your listener questions on the Facebook page. Deep breath. Okay, so Gene, I went through that entire thing without flubbing, and then I mess up a name. Dean Jones.
Gene Jones.
John Doe on Facebook asks, favorite score from a comic book movie? Alan Silvestri's score in the Avengers is pretty good. That theme alone gives him some credit. But if you're going by overarching score, how can you not go with the Hans Zimmer Batman stuff?
Yeah. I think that's really solid work.
Yeah.
Particularly like Why So Serious?
Yeah.
Like the Joker's theme.
A Watchful Guardian, the closing stuff from Dark Knight.
In terms of like, if you were to... Okay, what is the one theme? There's, of course, John Williams' Superman score.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's also Danny Elfman's Spider-Man theme, which is so good that you don't mind watching 5 minutes of opening credits.
That's what I'm saying.
In the background.
There's a video online of like someone taking the Marvel logo and putting the Danny Elfman score over it. And it's like you see like the Marvel and you hear ba-da, and then you hear the drums kick in. And I won't lie, I got really hyped. Like, oh, let's watch the movie now. That score really puts you in the world of Spider-Man. So yeah,
and it seems to tell a whole story as well.
Essentially,
like,
yeah. That score is so perfect.
Also, like I've said this 1,000,001 times, but I will keep on saying it. Craig Armstrong's score for The Incredible Hulk.
See, I haven't gone back and listened to it, so I can't relate it. I can't relate to you.
It's so good.
I like what Raymond Djawadi tried to do with the Iron Man score. Kind of do like a rock.
Or Ramin Djawadi.
Yeah, or however you pronounce it. He does the Game of Thrones person. He does a lot of good music.
But yeah, the scene of like when Iron Man suits up for the first time,
and
it's like it's basically a 2 minutes like special effects bonanza. But the music's so awesome and the industrial feel that he brought to it. He also brought that to Pacific Rim as well, which I really
Henry Jackman. What's it called? Bloody the Winter Soldier ending track. Oh my god!
Yes,
Taking a Stand. That might be my favorite Marvel track. Taking a Stand is great. He did some good work in Civil War with the Black Panther stuff, and the Spider-Man thing. But like, man, the Taking a Stand is like if you guys have any track to listen to from the Marvel movies, look up Henry Jackman Taking a Stand from Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Henry Jackman's score in that movie is great, huh?
Or if you've heard that song so many times that you think it's boring, go on SoundCloud and find a version of Taking a Stand, because SoundCloud is kind of like really protective of copyright stuff. So what people do to avoid that is that they lower the pitch of certain songs to get past copyright detection. So there's a slightly lower pitched version of Taking a Stand, which is still awesome.
Yeah.
if you want a weird different version of it.
From the looks of it, Michael Giacchino's Spider-Man score is going to be fantastic. From what we've gotten already, apparently from what the fanfare music's going to be. God, that's so good.
Also, I don't think just a few honourable mentions though. I love the Ant-Man theme.
Oh yeah,
I think that's such a playful dun 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 dun.
I was telling my friend Christian. I said we were watching the other day. I said, if there's any movie that Disney's going to put on Disney Channel, it's going to be Ant-Man. From the Marvel universe, it's going to be Ant-Man. That's the Huh?
Oh, so one more underappreciated score. Patrick Doyle's score for Thor.
Oh. I don't know why I didn't. That movie is so underrated nowadays in terms of the massive area of comic book movies that we've gotten. In my opinion, Thor is still the best Phase 1 Marvel movie. That's not the Avengers, obviously, but like in terms of all those built-up movies, I don't know how Thor can't be the best one in my opinion. I think Iron Man falls apart way too hard in the third act for it to be considered the best. But
I I think Thor's the most agreeable. Like you could you can make anyone watch it and they'll just find something enjoyable or
I think that's just
it.
Kenneth Branagh being like, Dutch angles. Let's everything at a Dutch angle, 45 degrees.
But like how he shoots so many of the scenes. Like he did this with Cinderella as well, kind of like a theatrical stage play, where you will have like characters sort of walk it like come from behind a bit of scenery or just like as if he staged it like a Shakespeare.
And pretty much everything in Odin's room is like, it's essentially like a
you
play.
are an old man and a fool.
Oh, that's such a good line.
It is Shakespeare with Vikings.
Yeah, it really is, and I think that's in the tragedy of it with Loki. And it's like I've done it, Father, and Thor's so good.
So I'm the one that parents tell their children about at night.
Oh,
it's so good.
Okay, but if we're going beyond just Marvel's cinematic universe, John Ottman's X-Men track is, I don't know, that really gets me pumped up every time I hear it. And how it just builds, and how like it's kind of evolved over the years. I think the one from Apocalypse might be my favorite. That's like the one good thing in that movie, besides the death scene of Michael Fassbender's family.
How about Kingsman: The Secret Service? Only because of its use of Freebird.
Well, Freebird's great, but when Henry Jackman again, when they're talking the bar fight, I forgot what the track's called. I think it's Manners Maketh Men.
Yeah,
Manners
that's the
Maketh
one,
Men,
yeah.
And it's fantastic. Speaking of Henry Jackman, my personal
Big Hero
favorite.
6.
No,
I think the music's good.
Big Hero 6 is, in many respects, it's a very beautiful movie. It's just so hollow. Is my problem with it.
That is fair.
I think if Disney deserves to do better after doing like Wreck-It Ralph and Tangled. They need to be doing better. They did better with Zootopia, so it's fine. You want better racism there?
But you were going to say another one about Henry Jackman.
Yeah, Henry Jackman. Speaking of which, probably one of my favorite comic movies ever is X-Men First Class, and that soundtrack for it. I mean, Rage and
when
Serenity.
When he lifts the submarine.
When he moves, I think my favorite scene in that movie is when he moves the satellite for the first time, and like just the way it's shot, the music, how Professor X, first sees his memory about the Holocaust, and just everything about that scene is so perfect, and you really see I'm using the word of the day, children, tragedy of Magneto. I'm talking about some Shakespearean drama.
I thought the word of the day was Notre Dame. Sorry.
I dropped my pop filter.
It's the podcast is falling apart.
That word continues to sneak up on me every time, and I'm never ready for it. Oh my god, no! But if you guys have a treat and look up Rage and Serenity by Henry Jackman, it moves me to tears pretty much every time I see it. Well, I said I fell out yesterday. I put on the Rocky soundtrack. I also put on that soundtrack to help me get up that hill.
Very nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of fantastic tracks out there in the super. So everyone that says Marvel doesn't do good music, they're lying to you, because there's good music out there. They just don't use it enough. That's their problem. They don't use it enough. Mm-hmm. Do you have another question, Shelby?
Okay, let's do. Okay, right. So Ryan Williamson says, since The Thing was a remake, what other remakes do you think are actually good or great movies?
Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Oh, shots fired.
No, I mean The Force Awakens. I don't count Force Awakens as a remake, because if that's the case, then Star Wars is a great remake of The Hidden Fortress. So yeah, there's my response to that controversy.
Scarface is always like the one.
Yeah, well, The Thing's a good remake. If it's a Thing's a fantastic remake.
Yeah,
Departed.
That's the one you mentioned in the question.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I wasn't listening. Sorry. Departed.
Yeah.
Departed is, I think,
yes.
great. Departed doesn't get enough love, I don't think, because people look at it as the one that Scorsese shouldn't have won for, but he won for it. But Departed's a great movie. Maybe not. Maybe fuck yourself.
There's the new Pirates film, which is basically a remake of the first one.
Aren't they all?
Yeah. Oh snap. Peter Jackson's King Kong, while not perfect and about an hour and a half too long, I still think has some really fantastic moments.
I'll go the dinosaur fight from Peter Jackson's King Kong. There. Kong Skull Island I think is a far better King Kong adaptation than King Kong. Come at me, Internet. I'm ready. I'll fight you all day for that. Peter Jackson's King Kong. King Kong is not meant to be an epic trope. It's meant to be a nice, fun action film. It's not meant to be this dramatic epic where it's like, look at the horrors of this character. It's an ape. It's an ape. You can have your subtext, but don't try to make it like, oh, I'm gonna fall off the building for 45 minutes. Like, just get on with it, Mr. Jackson, please.
Your appreciation of Kong Skull Island makes a lot more sense now. I bet you were watching Peter Jackson's King Kong and thinking, ugh, this needs more Samuel L. Jackson.
I was 5. I don't think I ever finished it, Trilby. It took me 10 years to finish that fucking movie.
I started watching it when I was 5. It's still going.
It's still on. I'm in the theater right now, Trilby. I haven't left in 6 years.
And I've not even watched the extended cut, which I do own on Blu-ray, but have not watched.
Trilby, they just got off the island. I think something's finally happening. They've been at sea for 2 weeks. In real time.
Jack Black is still making his movie.
What the hell is that? Oh god, Chibby, they're going to Notre Dame.
Oh, that scene where him and Adrian Brody are in like the bottom of the ship, and he's got they've got an island that exists only in myth, but it's got a name, and the name doesn't sound good. And instead of spelling Skull Island, Black Lagoon. And then they get there, and then Kong steps on creature from the Black Lagoon.
And then the Dracula sucks the blood of some native on Skull Island and grows 50 feet taller, and suddenly it becomes a real. Oh, see, now I'd pay to see that. That sounds like a fun action movie, Trilby.
Dracula bites King Kong, and then turns King Kong into a vampire.
God. Vampire gorilla. Get the asylum.
Oh. It's basically like a flying monkey from Wizard of Oz, but 50, 70 feet tall.
See, and then what you do, since it's Warner Brothers, right? You do a sequel to Oz the Great and Powerful. Oh wait, no, wait. Which one owns what? It's Warner Brothers,
Oz
right?
Is Disney is Oz the Great and Powerful.
Oh, then just remake Wizard of Oz now, but instead of flying monkeys, they're all King Kongs. Oh, there it is, Trilby.
I think if you were the Wicked Witch of the West and you had an army of 200 100-foot tall flying King Kong gorillas, I think that's kind of like using a nuke to get an anthill, isn't it?
That's the movie I'd give Zack Snyder to. I would give Zack Snyder that movie because you know how good that's gonna look.
Can you imagine, the Wicked Witch of the West is like, oh, I've got to get my pretties, and then she goes down to the basement of her castle, and she just finds all of these King Kongs doing weight training and dragging tires across the floor like Batman.
They're all just doing CrossFit and showering. You just get a bunch of King Kong butt shots while they're in the shower.
Yeah, and King Kong is like, yo, my biceps are mad legit.
And suddenly, you're watching this really fun action movie about the fight for Oz, and then suddenly everyone's like, "But what does it mean to fight for Oz?" And you're like, "Uh-oh." They're trying to think.
And then one of the violin players in Hans Zimmer's orchestra goes as in they're like, "Oh, I just heard that line of dialogue."
You just start hearing the Superman theme. It's like, uh-oh, we're supposed to be emotional right now.
Yeah, it's kind of like a record scratch, but it's a violin player. That was the gag I was going for.
That's alright, Chubby, we saved it. It's alright. Okay. Anyways, what was that?
Anyway, the answer is King Kong.
The answer is
good remix. Okay.
Yeah. Who would be your ideal casting for Dracula in the new shared Dark Universe, according to Spike Litherland?
Okay. It depends on what you want to do for a Dracula. Do you want a smouldering Luke Evans type, or do you want an older, sexy Gary Oldman?
So, hold on. Those are two. Hold on. Wait a minute, Chilby.
Either way, Dracula must be sexy.
Not necessarily.
Well, that's the thing about Dracula. Even though Bela Lugosi is not going to be winning awards for his handsomeness, he was a charismatic guy who was able to. He's able to seduce the ladies with the music of the night.
Actually, you know what? You're right. Dracula's supposed to be sexy because it's all about luring in women and all that stuff. So he is supposed to have, if not a sex appeal, then at least something charismatic. So you know what? Get The Rock.
Yeah, I jump into bed with him, and then he'd just destroy me.
He'd crush her. That line from Guardians. He'd smush her. There it is. That's the line. He'd smush her.
But like, you don't want to go for like a young tween sort of sexy, like how teenage girls look at members of One Direction or whatever girls are listening to nowadays. You want someone who's much
5
more...
5 seconds of
like,
summer? I don't fucking... Alright,
no,
my French.
You want someone like maybe someone who is able to get across that like suave nature, but
the answer here is Michael Fassbender.
So I don't know. I think he's a bit like too much like Daniel Craig, where he looks too much like a potato.
Michael Fassbender is a very... And the answer is Michael Fassbender... I think
he's a good-looking
Michael
guy,
Fassbender circa X-Men First Class. I'm essentially just thinking about that scene in the Argentina.
Not time traveling.
I'm just saying. I'm thinking about that scene in the diner or in Argentina, but instead of knives, he's sucking the blood of people, and I think he can totally do that. I don't know. That's why I'd cast him as James Bond, because of that. I could watch young Magneto hunt Nazis for like 3 hours. I could watch a whole movie of that. But
just for fun, I googled actors in their 50s because that's the sort of thing I think you'd go for.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, we got Tom Cruise is there. We've also got Kevin Bacon. For some reason, Leatherface is one of the suggested options.
Mads Mikkelsen. He'd be a good Dracula.
Why would you want Leatherface as why is Leatherface coming up?
Don't talk about Sylvester Stallone like that.
oh
hey,
god.
Heyo.
Colin Firth, Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis is only in his 50s.
I this is because what's coming up on Google. Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges is in his 50s.
Hugh Laurie, Richard Gere. Gary Oldman again. Ian McKellen.
Jeff Bridges is 67 years old.
Jim Broadbent. Now I know you're trolling me, Google.
Alan Arkin.
Jessica Chastain.
She's like 40 something, isn't she?
I wanted male actors. If you wanted to gender swap Dracula, I guess Jessica Chastain is not the worst one you can go for. Eddie Murphy as Dracula.
That's not a bad get. It'd be kind of
Natalie
funny.
Portman. She's not 50.
Natalie Portman's in her 40s.
Okay, Pierce Brosnan is coming up a lot in the Google search.
That's not terrible. He can't do an accent, but that's not terrible.
Just don't sing.
Just have it be him in The World's End. Timothy Dalton. That's what I'm doing. That's my go for it.
Now, I imagine Timothy Dalton as more of like an aged Van Helsing.
Dude, yes. Dude, just go with Mads Mikkelsen. He's right there. He looks like a vampire. He looks like a vampire.
He has years of experience.
He looks like a snake man. Just have Mads Mikkelsen play him.
I really hope that you're not like a casting agent in future where Mads Mikkelsen's like, we really think it's a great role for you. We think that you're able to imbue the character. You look like a snake man.
There's like 8 of us. My project. I mean, you look like a snake man. Like, I mean, you just look like you'd rob me. You look dirty to hug. So that's just.
You look like if I hugged you, I'd just get dust on me.
That looks like you all. I feel like you always need a towel to wipe your face off. Like you're constantly like just spewing oil out of your hair. No, but I mean, I'm just saying, if you were to cast a young Salazar Slytherin from Harry Potter, you would cast Mads Mikkelsen. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But I feel like
Ray Fiennes.
Wow, that's actually perfect. You know what? You're right. Ray Fiennes. All right, Shelby, drop the mic.
Because you mentioned Slytherin, and then I just thought Voldemort.
Oh, should we talk about bloody what's his face being young Dumbledore? Jude Law. Can you picture Jude Law and Johnny Depp having a thing?
No, but do you want to know who I would have cast as him? I would have
fucking
cast
Colin
Jared Harris.
Firth. Oh, what?
No, Jared Harris, who is the kid of Richard Harris.
I was gonna say Dumbledore's kid.
Yeah,
who I should know for more than being Dumbledore's kid, but my first thought was he's Richard Harris's son. I don't know about that. I feel like that's just nepotism for the sake of nepotism.
He's also a really good actor.
Well, yeah, but when I look at him, I don't see whys. I look at him and I think, oh, he's gonna yell at me for something.
Yeah, Dumbledore. Did you not put your name on the
Five?
Yeah, that's in keeping with it.
I mean, I suppose if you want to go there, I guess. But I don't know. I do.
No.
I don't know. I feel like Colin Farrell would have been a perfect choice for young Dumbledore or a Grindelwald. I don't know anybody, but I just can't. Jude Law is not a bad choice. Jude Law is incredibly talented, and he can be rather dynamic in his performances. We'd just see Sherlock Holmes or Contagion, two very different kinds of roles. But to see, I just can't imagine like a relationship between Johnny Depp and Jude Law. I just can't see that happening.
Well, I can't really imagine like Johnny Depp having a relationship with anybody anymore.
Maybe like a skull. I can picture Johnny Depp being with a skull.
What? Johnny, why are the eyes so sticky?
This is called the clamp. Chop.
What accent was that?
I don't know. I don't know how Johnny Depp sounds.
Chump?
This is clamp. Chump, chump, chump.
Oh.
This is called the clamp. Chump, chump, chump. I would Liverpool.
This is just noises.
That's all he does.
You sound like you're doing a Ringo Starr impression. And then Thomas went to the chomp chomp.
That'll be enough of that.
I got blisters on my skull.
Oh, I love that Family Guy sketch with the Beatles.
Ringo got it. You know, Ringo, we're going to put it right on the refrigerator. That way we get to see it every day.
Oh, thanks, guys. Like Jordan, his wife. That'll be enough of that there. Oh my god. Okay. Should we close it there? You have another question they want to ask?
I don't know if we can talk what we're currently doing. I think we've reached peak movie mania.
That's essentially what this podcast is. All
this
right.
has become movie mania.
And with that, thank you guys all for watching or listening. I make that mistake every week. Like and subscribe. Be sure, Trilby, where can we find you?
You can find me on my website at www.trubbyreviews, where I am doing regular.
Find me on the website.
You can find me talking about La La Land. That's good music.
Yes, I'm quiet.
I'm because now my last job is finished and I've got a bit more free time now. I'm able to do a bit more catch up on my vast back catalogue of reviews I need to do. You can also find me on Twitter at TrubbleReviews, and you'll probably be able to find me. What running gag should we run into the ground more? Am I in the Black Lagoon? Am I in Notre Dame?
Damn it, Chili! I was gonna go Notre Dame. God damn it!
But now, it's got the gag has gotten to the point where we now have to acknowledge the gag.
Yeah.
And then before the podcast ends, we have to bring it up one more time because we're subverting expectations. I'm an award-winning filmmaker, Trey. I know how this shit works.
That's a good line. Alright. Anywho, you can find me right here on this YouTube channel, Podcast Media. You can find me on my Twitter, Instagram, all at Podcast Media. You can find me somewhere in Notre Dame with the microwave. It's up to you. Catch you all later. Our movie maniacs.
I've still got the image of Tony Stark going, Underoos, and then Quasimodo just limps into frame. Just in a pair of underpants.
I tried like the camera flips over and lands down, and like the music builds, and it's just you see him limp into frame. Oh my god!
And then he like feebly just grabs the shield out of Cap's hands, and they're just tugging and wrestling for it. It's like give it. It's a bit like in The Nice Guys, like give my shield back. No, no.
Oh my god!
Are you leaving this in at the end of the podcast?
Yes. like Black. What's her name? Scarlet Witch. Like throws the knife at somebody. It's just a dead creature from the Black Lagoon, or like a dead Phantom of the Opera. Because instead of Hawkeye catching the knife, it would just go through his head. Oh my god! Oh.
And then War Machine comes in with like his stun stick or whatever. It's like, okay, this won't kill you, but it ain't gonna tickle either. Smacks the Phantom of the Opera at the back of the head and kills
explodes. Just evaporates the thin air. Oh my
And then Quasimodo just like throws a rock at him, and he's like, "Okay, now I'm pissed."
A rock. Oh my god. And then Cosmo's like, "Mr. Stark, I'm not Stalin." And then Tick's like, "Yeah, I think you are."
I can still fight.
Oh my god. We gotta stop here.
Never.
And scene.